Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Death Ray here. Happy Sunday. Happy weekend. This is July 21st, 2024. We're hopping on for the weekend roundup, Sunday hangout, question and answer, and a franchise tier maker ranking of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, we're rounding out the big three on the tier maker. It's been really fun doing that with you guys, on the lives the last few weeks, just taking those down. So now that we're, wrapped up with the big three, let me know in the chat and in the comments below which franchise you want to see ranked through the tier maker as well. Now, keep in mind, it's totally different than my regular ranking. I do have ranking videos on my channel that are pre-recorded, and that's a numbered ranking, right? So that's just like best to worst, or I guess worst to best is how I do it. The franchise ranking is just a little bit different, right? Because it's sort of like comparing them to one another, just like within the confines of those movies and, finding the little spots where they fit, which has been really fun. And it's great to have your guys' input on all of that. So, looking forward to that. And we got some stuff to cover here today, some changes that may be coming to the channel here. So, really appreciate you guys tuning in. We've already got some folks hopping in the chat here. We've got Medley Man, who's one of our new patrons over on Patreon. Guys, if you want to jump in on the Patreon, we've more than doubled our members this last week. There's a link in the description below if you want to check that out. All patrons get a movie review request that we go ahead and take care of here. And then, I'm sort of, now that I've got, a handful of folks in there, I'm a lot more motivated to do some more of those like behind the scenes things and just connect with folks there, especially while we wait to get membership going here on YouTube, which is just right around the corner. Should be happening, I hope, within the next few weeks. We should be opening up that membership, availability here on YouTube. So yeah, welcome, Medley Man. Really appreciate you being a patron. Medley Man wants me to watch the entire series of The Wire for the review request. So that one will probably take a while because I've not seen any of The Wire. What are there, like 5 seasons? It's HBO, so I'm guessing it's like 10 episode seasons, but I would imagine each episode's like pretty much an hour. So that may take some time to get that one going, but I've heard from so many people that it's one of the best shows of all time. So should be no problem giving that one a shot, and probably a series that Kate would like to watch with me, which is a bonus. We're wrapping up The Mentalist right now over on Max. Let's see here. And we got Necro Mechanimal in the chat. What's happening, Necro? Great to see you. Guys, if you don't follow Necro Mechanimal over on Instagram, go give him a follow. He's been putting together these really cool, like thumbnails, just taking the thumbnails that I've been putting together for some of these streams, especially like the last couple Jaws streams. And he's been putting together some really cool images on Instagram to share that are, it's really, there's just something like special about seeing somebody do that for you. It's flattering, to say the least, and really cool. So hopefully that keeps on coming. And go give him a follow over on Insta. What's happening, Gene? Great to see you this morning. I guess it's morning for me. It's afternoon for you out there on the East Coast. So I hope the afternoon is treating you well and that your morning was awesome. I saw you in the stream over there on Good Real Hunting with Dez and Brett, the Back from the Dead stream. Love catching that on a Sunday morning. And then Medley Man says, fun fact, my name isn't misspelled. It's the name of the music app I use. Ah, yes. And I wonder if I might have misspelled it in the card there. So maybe I need to make a little adjustment. Because, yeah, I think I probably put the E in Medley. So my bad there, Medley Man. T. Parker Evans in the chat. What's happening? He says, I've only seen 4 of the Nightmare films, the original, the second, Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake. I always thought A Nightmare on Elm Street should have been a one and done with the original ending. Yeah, I don't, I think that one and Halloween, you could definitely make the argument that, at least if they had done a one and done with those, like here we would be 40 some years later, almost 50 years later for Halloween. And we'd probably be talking like, where is the follow-up? How come we didn't get a follow-ups to these great movies? I think T. Parker, I think there's a couple I mean, especially if you saw the remake and Freddy versus Jason, there's way better movies. I mean, I think that three and four from A Nightmare on Elm Street are better than Freddy versus Jason and better than the remake. Absolutely. We got Toronto Freddy in the house. What's happening, Toronto Freddy? Great to see you. If you didn't catch the Jaws 2 watch along yesterday, I got the Thrill Kill Kate in there. So don't worry. We're keeping it alive for you. Yeah, guys. And if you missed that Jaws 2 watch along, we streamed on Peacock and watched it last night. There's a link in the description below if you guys want to check that out. Man, the one that we did for Jaws 3 is like my most viewed stream, like live stream. A lot of times the live streams just sort of die, after that first 24 hours, they're done. But for whatever reason, on our Jaws 3 watch along, we ended up picking up like double the amount of views in the, following days after that. So if you didn't catch it, there's a handful of times where I shout out the timestamp, of course. And yeah, you can check the link in the description below for that. Medley Man says The Wire's 5 seasons. Best thing about it to him is the fact it teaches you about true non-movie corruption because it's based on the real streets of Baltimore while still being an amazing show. Yeah. Toronto can be a rough spot. Or Baltimore can be a rough spot. Maybe Toronto can be a tough spot. I'm just already reading Toronto Freddy's name here. Yeah, 755 subs. Man, it felt like, getting up to 600, we were just like humming along and everything was going really smooth, and it's really slowed down since then. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show, Toronto Freddy. Of course, I am happy and grateful for every single sub, but I notice when things kind of slow down. So at that point, I'm just sort of like, okay, do I need to like change something up? Or, the thing about running a channel like this is not only, when you talk about or when you're thinking about running the channel and how you're going to create content, but also like finding the balance between your real life and the channel. Those are things that you always have to keep your eyes on because, balance shifts, subconsciously or not. So you always have to be revisiting that, holding yourself to account. And then same thing when it comes to live streams versus pre-recorded vids, because, for a lot of channels, it's like a mixture of the two. And I'll get into that here in a little bit after I say what's up to everyone. We got Ryan Swayze 88 in the chat. What's happening, Ryan? Great to see ya. Great to see ya. That would have been cool, Medley Man, getting Leatherface in there. I think that would be fun because Leatherface is a little personality without really talking, kind of a mixture between something like Freddy and Jason, where I feel like he's really wild, unbridled, I would say. Leatherface, that would be fun. Yeah, I feel like Freddy versus Jason, it's just a product of its time. Like when you watch Freddy versus Jason, you can be like, oh yeah, this movie came out in like 2003. Like it just has that look and feel. And Ronnie Yu movies, I don't think they've aged particularly well because they're so like style heavy. I don't know. Not that he's a bad director. It's just very like music video, T. Parker says, I actually don't hate the remake. I find it decent. Yeah, I mean, I would say if you watched the rest of the movies in the franchise, maybe you wouldn't hate it. But yeah, I mean, the remake for me, it's a bit of an identity crisis. We'll talk about that later. Hell yeah, Toronto Freddy. Thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate that. Oh my gosh, have I seen UHF? I grew up on UHF, Toronto Freddy. I adore that movie. I have 2 older brothers. So I have 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters. And so one of the benefits of having, 4 older siblings is, even though I was born in the early 80s, a lot of that stuff in the mid to late 80s I remember and experienced. And something like UHF was, a yearly rental. I don't know if we ever owned a copy on VHS, but as soon as I was able to get a copy on DVD, I certainly did that. I think it's one of the greatest comedies of all time. I suppose you could sort of put it in the parody, kind of category because they do a bunch of little parodies and satires and everything like that. But yeah, what an excellent film. I absolutely adore UHF. I think it just came out with this year is like the 35th anniversary, and they just put out like a Steelbook 4K release or something like that. I think just a couple weeks ago. So maybe you have to pick that up sometime this year. Or if you guys want to buy it for me, you can buy it for me. Some parts of Toronto. It was a vocal flub, but I would imagine every city right? Every major metropolitan area across the world has got some tough areas. T. Parker says, I do plan to watch more of the Nightmare films. I actually own all of them on Blu ray. I heard great things about 3 and New Nightmare. I just need to find that investment or mood. Yeah. Yeah. I think New Nightmare, I mean, it's awesome. You can sort of just watch like the first movie, the third movie, and then New Nightmare. It's sort of like the Nancy trilogy. It all hits those points there with her character. Good stuff. AI says The Wire has a complete runtime of 60 hours and 45 minutes. Oh, geez. Yeah, that it'll be tough to. I mean, how do you really review a TV series that's that long? It would be, I try to keep reviews like, if they can be under 10 minutes, just because I figure like a lot of people that watch reviews, either they're really familiar with the material and they just want to hear somebody else's thoughts on it. I'm that way quite a bit. Like, I'll watch a review of a movie I know like the back of my hand just to see what somebody else's perspective is. Maybe they picked up on something that I missed, all that kind of good stuff. And then on the flip side, if they haven't seen it, like what's the point doing a review that's over 10 minutes? You're just gonna like end up spoiling everything about the movie, what have you, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll watch The Wire, and I'll probably just do, like a concise series review there. Yeah, Toronto Freddy. I wish that Freddy versus Jason versus Ash happened as well. I think that would have been pretty damn cool. I think it would be wild to see like characters like Freddy and Jason interact, in the world of Evil Dead, right? Where Ash is not only dealing with those two guys, but he's still dealing with Deadites, and maybe they're dealing with Deadites, right? Wouldn't that be like kind of funny? Almost like the Deadites are just like everyone's fair game. So even Freddy and Jason don't know what the hell to do with these Deadites. I think that would be pretty fun stuff. Maybe they're dealing with the Deadites and Ash shows up to kill some of the Deadites and is like, now I guess I have to take care of you guys too. Yeah, Toronto Freddy. I mean, for me, it's tough to pick a favorite. Maybe that's a good start bench cut. UHF, Airplane, and The Naked Gun. Like that would be a really cool start bench cut for 80s comedies. Yeah, I've never seen any of those movies, Necromechanimal. I've not seen any of the Hatchet series. Where can I watch those? Can you guys check, somebody in the chat, find out if there's a spot where they're streaming? We have most of the streaming platforms here in the Death Ray household. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to check those out. I've heard that they're like kind of cheesy, but it's like they're purposely a little bit corny, a little bit of a throwback to like the yesteryear of slashers, but with updated effects and all that, the kind of modern trappings as far as the technology goes. But yeah, that'll be fun to check those out. Toronto Freddy says T. Parker might want to steer clear of Freddy's Dead. Yeah, well, he doesn't think the remake is atrocious. Freddy's Dead is pretty rough. I mean, for me, it might have been I think it was the second movie in the franchise I saw because it came out like the year that I was in like 5th grade that year. I think it was like 92 or something like that. I had just seen the original A Nightmare on Elm Street, and then that movie came out, and it's like the kid-friendly version. Freddy's Dead is it's for kids. I mean, I guess a little bit gory, maybe a little bit, and some adult themes as far as like a little bit of Freddy's backstory. That's I think the subject matter is disturbing, but it's not graphic. Medley Man says you should do a short video on each season of The Wire instead of one big one to show the progress and how you're enjoying the show after each season. Okay, yeah, we could do something like that. Do like a little 3-minute vid for each season, something like that. Hey, no worries, Big Rod. We're really just still saying what's up to everyone. Haven't even really got into it. Hope you're having a great Sunday so far. How are those muscles feeling after a day of moving? Big Rod says he watched a couple of the Hatchet movies on YouTube. Are they free on YouTube? That would be great. Yeah, I think Freddy's Dead probably is the worst. I don't think the remake has like much of a point, but I don't think it's as bad. I mean, maybe they're like pretty much neck and neck for me. 5 is also bad. Yeah. Yeah, 5 for me just got to the point where I was like, okay, how many of these movies now is it Freddy's just yet another vessel for Freddy to break into the real world? That's like the loop that this series, that the Nightmare on Elm Street series gets stuck in. In part 2, it's Jesse. In part 3, it's all the kids in the psychiatric hospital. In part 4, it's what's her face? Alice, right? And then in part 5, it's Alice's baby. It's just like, I mean, how many times are we going to do this whole thing? Medley Man, they're pretty much neck and neck. Oh, yeah, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, Freddy's Dead and the remake are kind of right there. Big Rod says, "Bro, I'm walking like a 90-year wrestling star with a broke down body." I can imagine that. I sort of had a similar. It's funny when you say that. I imagine, when I was at H45 last fall, Tyler Main was hanging out, and he's just such a huge dude, 6'8", and he's up there in age now. It's been a while. I mean, he last played Michael 15 years ago. So it's been a little bit, and he, a stunt guy that's 6'8", he's moving, a little bit slow, a little gingerly, right? Kind of reminds me of that. T Parker says, out of the big three, who's your fave in terms of films? I'm a Halloween guy. Me too. I would say Halloween, Friday the 13th, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm pretty like lukewarm. I'm a pretty casual fan of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Really like the first film. I think the third film is pretty damn fun too. I think New Nightmare is excellent. The other ones are all like, I would say maybe I like four the best after those three, and then part two. Part two is one of those movies, like, it's had that whole like resurgence of everyone sort of seeing all the, not subliminal messaging, but like the undercurrent of tone in there. However, when they made that movie, that was never part of the intention. That whole like, subtle, like, almost like homosexual kind of tinge going on in the story. That's something that's all revisionist history, right? That's something that we have put on the film. And because Mark Patton, the actor who played Jesse, happens to be a gay man, that like really ramped up, I would say, in the last like 10 to 15 years or so, where that film didn't really get appreciated for a really long time. Like we're talking 20, 25 years, kind of got shat on for a really long time. And now we've sort of reformed the image in this guise of like, oh, well, it's like trying to say something about dealing with those feelings that are, bubbling up inside of you that you don't know what to deal with. But that was never the intent of the filmmaker or the writers. It's just something that we found in there. So I've noticed that for me, and it's not because of that, but as I watch that movie every time, I get a little more cooler on my feelings for it, because there's really not much going on in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Freddy's Revenge to me would have been better off as like, it's almost like a TV episode, like a 45-minute episode of some drama show, because there's a lot of rehashed dialogue and stuff in that film. I do think Freddy looks awesome, and there's elements of that film that I think are great. But as I watch it, I would certainly put, the first film, the third film, the fourth film, and A New Nightmare ahead of Freddy's Revenge. Absolutely. Medley Man says, I'm grateful the Nightmare franchise only really has 3 bad films, and Freddy versus Jason. I still think it's the worst one, though, Medley Man. I think it's easily the worst out of the big 3, because I don't think the bad movies, I think the good movies in Halloween and Friday the 13th obliterate the good movies in A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think, yeah, we'll get into it when we do our ranking. Hey, Nicholas, no worries, man. Just still pretty much saying what's up to everyone. 6 likes. All right. Well, we got 6 likes. We have 9 people in the chat. So everyone that is in the chat, hit the like button if you haven't already. Hope you're doing great, Nicholas. Yeah, we're just still saying what's up. We'll get to everything here. Toronto Freddy says 5 is far superior to Freddy's Dead and the remake. Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a pretty big gap there. I don't think 5 is good by any measure, but it's certainly better than those. Oh yeah, Freddy versus Jay. I don't know. Did he say it was bad? I'm not sure. 3 bad films and yeah, I mean, bad is one of those things where it's like, I said it last night when Kate and I were doing our Jaws 2 stream. Like there are so many movies that I enjoy that you could consider bad. Like you can, I enjoy watching Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, but I could totally understand if you call it a bad film. Like if you compare it to movies like Jaws or The Godfather or what, Citizen Kane. Like, yeah, Curse of Michael Myers is a bad film. Like, it doesn't mean I think like that I don't like it. It's just like I try to have the most even keeled, like well measured, not opinions, but approach to like thinking about film like that. Like even things that I love, like I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series. but there's a lot in that series that's like stupid. And there are like a lot of things that elements that I wish really weren't there. But sometimes that's just the way it is in a TV show. So it's like I just try to have, even though a movie might be technically bad, doesn't mean I can't still love it. And it doesn't mean that, a movie that I absolutely love that I do think is great also doesn't have things that it could have done better. Oh, we'll get to it, guys. You guys are all ready. I love it. Maybe I should start the show with the tier ranking, but then everyone would just leave right after that, right? Medley Man says the top three in the big three are Halloween, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and A Nightmare on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good one. I mean, I think that the David Gordon Green Halloween movie is probably better to me than Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and even maybe the original A Nightmare on Elm Street, honestly. Boom, there we go. Everyone's chit-chatting. I have not seen Scream Queen, but I've watched the documentaries and stuff just about the actual film itself. Yeah, but again, T. Parker, that's revisionist history because it was never meant to be that. It's just like now we have a totally different lens that we look, with that movie at. So, I totally get it. I think it's like it is an interesting concept. To me, it doesn't make the movie any better because it doesn't like the writing of the movie. I think could have used some work for sure. There isn't a movie that exists that is bad except like real world torture and other heinously immoral things to record. Yeah, bad is just such a it's like technically Halloween Resurrection's a bad film. Like I still put it on once a year. It doesn't mean that I think it's a good film. But I do get some sort of comfort out of watching bad movies. Again, guys, I grew up. I know it's tough to see the whole poster there, but I grew up watching Mystery Science Theater 3000, so I have like an affinity for bad movies. It is really good. Yeah, masterpiece. I don't know. I don't know if it's a masterpiece. I think it's really good though. When I think of a masterpiece, I think of a movie that like I would say that the first A Nightmare on Elm Street's closer to a masterpiece because it broke that idea out there, whereas Elm Street 3 is a sequel, so it's not really breaking any new ground. So I don't know if it's really a masterpiece. But I do think it's a really fun movie. Yeah. Big Rod says, I really like Freddy's Revenge for the fact it was the first horror movie I remember my dad showing me when I was like 6 or 7. Yeah. There's a lot that I really like about it. I love Clu Gulager as an actor. I just think he's like the king of 1985 being in Freddy's Revenge and Return of the Living Dead. I love that guy as a performer. Going back to Mystery Science Theater 3000, he's in one of my favorite episodes called San Francisco International Airport. It's a really cheesy TV movie that they make fun of. It's in the early Mike era. If you guys are fans of MST3K and you haven't seen San Francisco International, you got to check it out. It's one of the best episodes. I do like The Godfather. I've never seen the third one, but I've seen the first two. I do like those movies. It's a very, very rare exception. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Big Rod, you're fine, man. I try my best to read what's really being said in the comments. Imagine making a plot line just to turn it all into filler after the fact. Yeah. Hey, a lot of movies have done that. I feel like Abigail had a lot of filler. Abigail's like a cool idea with a bunch of like filler. I think that's Radio Silence. This is Radio Silence's game right there, Medley Man. A plot line just to turn it all into filler. I think there are 2 Scream movies and Abigail are just like, yeah, you got a cool idea. And then you just sort of like made a C+ movie based around your cool idea. Halloween Resurrection is a comfort movie for me. It was one of the first Halloween movies I saw, and it's just hilarious. Yeah, Ryan, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, man. And, like what you like and don't give a damn what other people say about it. Why would we leave? We're all here for you because your streams are always engaging. Well, thank you, Toronto Freddy. Yeah, maybe I should just start with the tier ranking, but I want to get into some other stuff here really quick while I have everyone's attention. Maybe some folks will come in a little bit later and they'll be able to catch that ranking, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. By no means am I a pro, but always try to do my best to engage with you guys, be myself, all that kind of stuff that's important. And sometimes, can be tough to do on YouTube. I think sometimes part of playing the YouTube game is you're like, ooh, this person's doing this thing. Like, I should be doing that. It's not like a jealousy thing, but it's sort of like oh, that's working. Maybe I need to hop on that. But man, you got to, again, find that balance of being yourself and also doing what the algorithm needs you to do. Toronto Freddy, DGG Halloween's better than Dream Warrior. It's just an opinion. I think Dream Warriors is really fun, but to me, A Nightmare on Elm Street is just so like, out of the big three, it's so third tier overall. I even think the first movie, while I really enjoy it, it's pretty clumsy. I've said that multiple times on the channel. The camera movement is pretty like shaky. Some of the acting, not really quite there. When you compare it to the original Halloween and the beautiful, photography of Dean Cundey and the music of John Carpenter, I mean, it's really tough. Like comparing Halloween to the first Friday the 13th, or even like most of the Friday the 13th, and certainly comparing it to the A Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I think there's like such a stark difference. And yeah, I think 2018's Halloween, I feel like Michael is the most interesting he's ever been, including the first movie. I don't think it's a better movie than the original Halloween, but I think like I am locked in every moment Michael is on screen in the 2018 Halloween. I am so engaged and interested in knowing what's making him tick. For me, it's the mystery that drives my feelings toward those movies. Medley Man, it's okay. Toronto Freddy, he's learning. Abigail, Nicholas says Abigail's my favorite horror movie of this year, but it's cool if you don't like it, Davey. It's good for everyone to have their own opinion. Yeah, and there are parts that I liked about Abigail. I think the hype was like way too big for Abigail, just in my opinion. I think it's a fine movie, but I've seen, I think Late Night with the Devil is better. I think Longlegs was better. Yeah, Abigail. Maybe C+ is a little rough on Abigail. Maybe B- is a bit more appropriate. T. Parker says Resurrection gives me nothing but pain or cringe. As someone who doesn't like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I'd rather watch it. At least it's well filmed and acted. Yeah, I really like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But yeah, I know what you mean. If you try to sit down and pay attention to Resurrection, that's a difficult job. What's happening, Coy? We got Happy Sanjo in the chat. And yeah, Gene brings a little something up here. I see you're going to be on Flet's YouTube channel tonight. Yeah, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be on Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13. We're going to talk about our top 10 scariest moments in horror film history. There's a link in the description below. And even if you don't go over there, if you aren't subbed to that channel, I encourage you guys to go over there and throw them a sub. But even if not, it's going to stream simultaneously on this channel as well. So you should be able to check it out once we go live. That moment when the camera movement is shaky couldn't be Friday the 13th. Yeah, there's plenty of shaky camera in there too, right? Ryan says, I love the original Nightmare on Elm Street, but the last 10 minutes is just laughable. Yeah, it gets a little goofy, huh? All right, everyone's saying what's up to each other. T. Parker says Radio Silence needs to understand how normal people aren't immoral or superheroes. Their characters would get stabbed multiple times or heavily maimed and walk it off like it's a flesh wound. Yeah, they also talk shit about the other movies in the franchise in their films, and then they have 2 third acts that are terrible. The third act, the killer reveal in Scream 5 and Scream 6 are, man, that's why you got to start at the end of your damn movie. You don't J.J. Abrams it and just, throw something out there to wrap things up. It's pretty poor. And I think the ending of Abigail was pretty rough too. All good, homie. I'm not actually. No worries. No worries. Big Rod says, you've been talking more about doing pre-recorded videos. I think that's smart. I love the lives and the interaction, but pre-recorded videos are more watchable after the fact. I think it'll boost numbers. Yeah, that's a really great point, Big Rod. We're going to get into that here in just 1 second. Yeah, I don't really enjoy that first Rob Zombie movie, but I do like the second one. It's far from perfect, but I do like it. Yeah, Medley Man says Radio Silence talks shit about the fans who don't like 4 or not for itself. I feel like they were talking shit about 4 in Scream 5 because they said that this isn't just another cash grab sequel. They actually were going to kill off main characters, and to me, that was a direct jab at Scream 4, which I think is the best sequel in the series. Maybe I should do a Scream franchise ranking, tier franchise ranking next time. I've got an actual franchise ranking on the channel, one of the pre-recorded vids, but maybe we could do one live next week. Medley Man says it also ironically talks shit about people who don't like Scream 5. Yeah, well, that's just your class. That's what Hollywood does now, Medley Man, is they're like, if you don't like my movie, it's actually your fault that you don't like my movie and you're toxic. So that's just a trick that they learned from Disney. Disney does the same thing. Like, hey guys, we're gonna make our movies like really political. We're gonna tell you that we're doing this on purpose. And then when you don't show support, we're gonna call you hateful for not spending your money on our movie that you're not interested in seeing. And we'll push you out as a fan, but then say that if you don't support us, you're some sort of istophobe. Yeah, you know what? Kate and I were thinking, like, what's the next series that we should do for a watch along? Because we've been having a really fun time doing the Jaws watch alongs with you guys. We did like a reverse order watch along with Jaws, which wasn't planned. We just wanted to do one of the, like one of the bad movies in the franchise. And then you guys had such a fun time. So we came back with part 3. So we did 4, 3, 2 yesterday. And then we're going to wrap it up with the original and best Jaws next Saturday night. So I think we just have to figure out, Kate might have some plans. So I'm not sure what time that's going to be. And, if it has to get pushed to Sunday, then maybe we'll do it Sunday. I'll let you guys know as soon as possible. But yeah, let me know in the chat and in the comments below if you're watching this after the fact, or even guys, come back and leave a comment on this live stream after it's done. Even if you're in the live, it really helps the channel and it helps get the live out there. And then, yeah, let me know which series or which film you want us to cover next on a watch along. It really helps if it's available on one of the, streaming platforms. That way there's a bigger chance that more people can tune in. But yeah, Scream would be a great one. Kate loves Scream. It is her favorite horror franchise. So if you want to throw Thrill Kill Kate a bone, Scream is the way to go. All of that commentary is the fans themselves talking and projecting what they want into the movie. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm talking about lines from the actual dialogue from Scream 5 that talks shit about Scream 4. At least I perceived it as talking shit about Scream 4 because legacy characters die in all of the other movies. Scream 4 was the only one that didn't kill off like one of the big ones. Like in Scream 5, they kill Dewey, even though they have a 95-pound, 5'2" woman basically pick up Dewey. God, Scream 5. Yikes. Yeah. It's not like they're like not bad films, but compared to the other 4 Scream movies, they're bad. Oh yeah, the shirt Al wore. I was like AI, and I'm like, oh no, it's Al. I don't think so, Tim. I love Home Improvement. Home Improvement's good. Jaws is great. It's a great book. I don't read very often, Medley Man, but I've read Jaws like 3 or 4 times. I really enjoy that book. It gives you a great, excuse me, I got an itchy nose. Jaws gives you, the book gives you a greater appreciation of the movie. I actually think the movie is better. But the book dives into some other things that are pretty interesting. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it certainly dives more into like Mayor Larry Vaughn's true motivation for not wanting to close the beaches, because in the movie it just seems like he just wants that tourism money, but in the book there's another layer as to why. So don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, I really love Jaws the book. Scream 4 ages like fine wine, says T. Parker. It had the guts to kill off new cast in making a point of not to F with the legacy, and as the best killer reveal since the original. I wholeheartedly agree. I think Emma Roberts just completely rocks that movie, man. That final act is incredible. The false ending and then the real ending, she's great. She puts in one of the best performances in the entire franchise there, and maybe that's a hot take, maybe not. But I think it's really awesome that somebody like Emma Roberts, she comes from that pedigree. I believe, her dad is Eric. Her aunt is Julia. She could have just skated by and been in a bunch of like pretty people, drama movie, romantic comedy, blah, blah, blah. And she pretty much like chose horror. So kudos to her. She must be a fan of the genre. I love seeing performers that clearly have a love for the genre, because they keep on coming back to it. All right. Toronto Freddy. Yeah, checked out your vids. Probably have to check them out again. Sometimes I get in the middle of watching a vid and then get distracted by something else. It happens all the time when I'm on my damn phone. I know this is an unpopular opinion, says Nicholas, but I really enjoyed Scream 6. Man, I tell you what, Nicholas, the first 2/3 of that movie were great. I thought that they were like really had something there. I thought it was going so much better than Scream 5. And then the killer reveal really distracted me for the rest of the movie. It just ruined everything else. So, but yeah, I mean, I felt like Scream 6 was doing some things right. But of course, Radio Silence had to come in there and not be able to finish it. So it's like they hit a home run and tripped after they rounded third base. Scream 5 and 6 are modern, inferior films of the original, too. Yeah, yeah. The actual dialogue about not killing, yeah. Oh, it's like, gotcha. Like they're writing it from the fan's perspective. But I took it as like, since Mandy's saying it, I took it as like the writers, like Radio Silence is saying, like, we're better than that movie. Like this is the real Scream Legacy sequel, not part 4, not the one that Wes Craven directed. Yeah, there you go, Ryan. Right there with you. Yeah, it was weak and distracting. If you guys want to hear me talk about it more, you can check out my Scream franchise ranking video. I get into it for sure. There you go. Big Rod says Scream is his favorite franchise too. You hear that, Kate? Big Rod says Scream is his favorite franchise. Kate's out there hanging out, watching some baseball. I think it makes me dislike the sequels more than most people because it just can't touch the OG. Definitely, I understand that, Big Rod. Like when something's your favorite, you hold it to a higher regard. You want to see, really great sequels. You're going to be more critical. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, she's chosen that world of horror, like Sydney Sweeney is one of those, performers that everyone's talking about now. And, it seems like she's got that love for horror as well, because not only is she performing in horror movies, but she's also, putting her money into them as a producer, which I think is the next step. Like, I think that's the way we get great horror movies is we get these actors to actually produce their, jump in and be a producer on their film. They don't have to finance the whole thing, but, put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, it's not just, yeah, people don't like the killer reveal because it gets really ridiculous. It's totally absurd. The acting gets really poor there. Dermot Mulroney, it's like, what the hell? Like, I don't know what happens. He starts acting. It's very bizarre to me. It's like they're trying to kind of remake the ending of Scream 2, but they chose to even go like more over the top than Mickey and Mrs. Loomis did. Yeah. I can't, maybe it is difficult for me to pinpoint the reason, Medley Man, but I shit you not. The first time I watched Scream 6, all I could think about after the killer reveal was how bad the killer reveal was. So the whole climax of the movie, I'm just sitting there thinking like, this is so dumb. Why did they do this? They pulled the rug out from under the whole audience. Like, I hate it. They pulled a Last Jedi. Yes, it is pathetic. Yes. I think the point Radio Silence was trying to make is that there are all these silly little concepts that can ruin a show for you if you hyper focus on them. Yeah, I just think they're kind of poor writers. There you go, Nicholas. Scream is his favorite horror series as well. Ryan Swayze says, I know this is kind of off topic, but how is the Gotham Noir crowdfunding going? We're gonna take a look at that here. Let's see. If they're trying to break me out of that mentality, I think what they should do is try to write a film from the ending, and then start with the ending and go to the beginning and put out like a really high quality. For whatever reason, they just haven't grabbed me yet. Radio Silence, it's like they almost have me. But like a wet bar of soap, I slip right through their fingers. Hey, yeah, thrill kill Kate. Yeah, where is Kate? Where is she? She's not even hopping in the chat here. No, she's a busy girl. Yeah, let's see here. That would have been a ballsy move had it been Kirby. Yeah, and her performance, unfortunately, the work that Hayden Panettiere had done on her face prevents her from acting well in Scream 6. I feel like she's a shadow of the performer that she was in Scream 4. And for whatever reason, people don't want to talk about that, but I think it's completely valid. If you augment your face and it prevents you from being able to emote, those things are important for actors. We need to see expression, we need to see energy and liveliness from your performance. And in Scream 6, there's just a little bit of Mandy and Kirby where they're like doing their horror movie, like, are you cool or not kind of chat, which is fun. Other than that, Kirby is like, I don't know. I was really bummed out. I was bummed out at the performance. Yeah, T. Parker, there it is. Yep. Yep. All right, guys, we're gonna get into let's see here. We're gonna get into some of the topics here that we want to cover. So let's see. Ryan had brought up Gotham Noir. So yeah, guys, Gotham Noir is in the final 10 hours of crowdfunding here. We only have 10 hours to go. We are unfortunately just over 32% the way to our goal. So it doesn't look like this crowdfunding campaign is going to be successful. I've reached out to Daniello, who is, one of the directors and writers of the project. He is half of Lux Media with his partner, Sarah Leiker. So I've reached out to them, and it sounds like we're gonna kind of regroup, and we're gonna come back with another crowdfunding campaign with a little bit of a less lofty goal. We had a pretty lofty goal of let's just go ahead and try to get this 100 grand. I think maybe now that we have, like, there's a teaser trailer out there, there's posters for the villain, which is Professor Pig. Chris Stanley who's our Bruce Wayne and our Batman, had done a video about the awesome Batman cowl that he put together. So some of that stuff just came so late in the crowdfunding here. I think it'll help bolster, if we come back with another campaign and a smaller goal, I think we'll be able to hit it easy. Maybe even throw some more unique perks in there. We're just going to have to go back to the drawing board. The film is still going to happen. It looks like, I don't know if you guys have followed the videos that have been coming out from Lux Media, but the trailer kind of blew my mind. I saw it at the same time as everybody else. So I didn't get like a privy release or anything of that. I just woke up and checked it out on socials, was completely blown away by the mood that it has, and definitely really feeling the horror elements there. So yeah, the campaign is still going for 10 hours, but it is going to take a couple miracles to get us past that goal. That's for sure. So yeah, that's where we're at with Gotham Noir. I want to hit up a couple other things because I've just been shooting the shit with you guys talking about mediocre Scream movies for 44 minutes. Just joking. We've been talking about other stuff. And I'm kind of just being a dick by calling them mediocre movies. Sometimes you just got to say something to get a little reaction, I did want to go over a couple of things here that we've, covered on the channel here recently. The other week I did the Double Scoops episode with Barry over at Wolfman's Got Nards. We talked about Halloween H2O. I saw T. Parker over there in the chat when we did that. I just wanted to share that one with you guys. Again, there's a link in the description below if you haven't caught that. It's a point-counterpoint discussion, kind of like a debate, a friendly, respectful debate where Barry and I go back and forth about Halloween H2O and whether or not it's the, best sequel in the series or if it's closer to the back part of the ranking. That was really fun. We are, I think just about close to 850 views. I'd love to see that video get to 1,000 views pretty soon because he's had success he did one with Evan from Rockland Graves Productions. And then he did one with Darren from The Slaughtered Lamb, Jason from Sinister Cinema. And a couple of those are past the 1,000 view mark. I'd love to see the one that I did with Barry get past that mark, especially because my channel is so small. Like all those other channels, Rockland Graves, Sinister Cinema, and TSL, like they've got thousands of subs. Here I am floating at 750. So to even be like in that realm is awesome. Guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, or even if you have, if you want to go over there, give it another view, drop a comment, that would be awesome. And I'll be back on Wolfman's Got Nards to talk about Scream with Barry. I think he calls that the morgue, I think is what he calls it. That'll be really fun because, as you guys know from our chat here today, I'm a big Scream fan. and maybe we'll talk a little Scream 4. That would be kind of cool. And then other things we had, happening on the channel this week. We finally got to our movie review of Intruder. Kate and I watched it a second time, put together our review. Really enjoyed that flick. It is on Tubi. I put a link in the description below as well for that review, which is actually doing pretty well for a movie that came out 35 years ago on my small little channel. That review is doing well. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. If you haven't left a comment or gave it a like, please hop on over and do that. That'll certainly help us crush that algorithm. And then we, did a Longlegs review the other week. And I know maybe some folks didn't check out the Longlegs review because they hadn't seen the movie yet. So I totally get that. We don't go into any spoilers, but I totally understand just not even wanting to like hear people's thoughts or deal with any sort of overhype, which we do our best to like quell the hype. In our review, we really try not to be like hyperbolic. I never want to be one of those reviewers, guys, that's like, oh, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Like, I'm not into that crap. I know sometimes I make little funny faces on my thumbnails, but I'm never doing like I just feel like, to me, that's not me. I know that maybe if I did those things and acted that way, maybe it would get more attention here. But I want to earn this, like all the love and all the subs and all the interaction on the channel. I want to earn it the right way that still feels true to me. Now, of course, it's still kind of a performance, right? It's like, I mean, I take it seriously when I hop on with you guys. I try my best to not have a bunch of vocal flubs, even though I do. I try my best to not have a bunch of brain farts. Let those happen occasionally from time to time, as C3PO would say. But yeah, just I got to be true to myself here. So I'm not going to do any of that kind of hyperbolic bullshit. You're going to get the genuine article. And even if I say something, flamboyant or outlandish, I'm probably going to do it with some sort of affectation on my voice. So that I'm not really being serious. You know what I mean? I try my best to, maybe if you read the words that I said, you'd think that I was being mean about it. But if you listen to the tone, you'd understand that I'm just joking. I'm a jokester. And then wanted to talk about upcoming pre-recorded material. Big Rod, you had mentioned that. So yeah, we've got some things coming up here that are pre-recorded. And really, guys, I'm thinking about putting a hold on these Sunday live streams. The weekend roundup is fun. I really do love interacting with you guys, but this is time that I could be spending putting together a pre-recorded video. If you caught the intro of this live stream, I was talking about how the sub count has like really kind of slowed down after I hit that 600 sub mark. Right around that time, I sort of stepped back from making sure that I was doing regular pre-recorded videos, and I really dove into the live and all the collaborative kind of stuff, which has been really great. But yeah, the sub count has slowed down. The views on some of the videos, the pre-recorded videos I have been doing has kind of slowed down because they're just sort of like few and far between. So, I'm really close to, there's only one metric that I have to reach to be able to unlock YouTube memberships. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back on the weekend roundup. I am going to maybe do that as like an exclusive thing for the, I don't know if it'll be exclusive on Patreon or I'll wait until we have membership unlocked here on YouTube, and we'll figure out some sort of like weekly hangout for all the members on the YouTube channel. But I really want to be able to take that time on a Sunday, especially during the weekend, to work on pre-recorded vids because they take a long time. So, the vocal flubs and all the brain farts, I do multiple takes to make sure that those aren't there. And then the editing, man, the editing takes usually like twice as long, maybe 3 times as long, depending on how ambitious the video is. Even if it's just overlaying images and, sorting through 38 minutes of recording to make a 13.5-minute video, picking all the takes and all that kind of stuff. That takes time. So I really want to be able to split my time between the lives and the pre-recorded stuff. You're still going to get Late Night with the Davey every Wednesday. You're still going to get as many watch-alongs with Movie Date with Davey and Kate on, Saturday night is when we'll shoot to do those regularly. And of course, we'll do other, we'll get back into our standard episodes of Movie Date with Davey and Kate where we have a movie discussion, because those are really fun too. I love the watch alongs, but the discussion's really cool as well. So, we'll just sort of like figure out, Movie Date with Davey and Kate will just be an amalgamation of the live watch alongs and then the live discussions. So you're still going to get plenty of live material here from me, but I do want to take, the couple hours I spend doing this every day. I mean, really, it's 2 hours pretty much being with you guys online. But other than that, it's making the thumbnail, it's hopping on here in the morning and arranging everything, getting the topics figured out, putting together the tier maker ranking, thinking about how I'm gonna rank those movies, all that kind of stuff. It's hours of time that I could be spending doing something pre-recorded that I think would be really cool. To Big Rod's point earlier, the pre-recorded videos are nice. I want to be able to give you guys not always just the unscripted thing. I want to give you guys something that's like got a little more production value too. And once again, to Big Rod's point, it gets more viewers. Usually pre-recorded videos live a longer life on YouTube. So yeah, those are some things that I've been thinking about lately. I really do enjoy spending this time with you guys, but in the interest of finding that balance, I need to find balance here on the channel between pre-recorded stuff and live stuff. And so maybe lives will turn into a quick half hour or an hour of just saying what's up and not really talking about everything I've done on the channel. Just like, guys, let's just hop in and do a tier maker franchise ranking, and that'll be that. Like I say, what's up? We do the, franchise ranking, and boom, we're out. Just something a little less cumbersome and time consuming. So yeah, guys, always having some changes here. Hopefully I don't piss anyone off. I see 17 comments. So let's see what you guys are saying here. All right, let's check it out. Let's see here. Toronto Freddy says with Gotham Noir, 169 backers, almost 30,000. Yeah, so maybe we'll set that goal to 30,000 or maybe set it to 40. I think we could hit a $40,000 goal, especially with all the promotional material we have out there now for Gotham Noir, to be able to show all that stuff up front and be like, boom, check out this trailer. Like, did you guys see the trailer with Professor Pig? Because it's friggin' disturbing. It is like some straight up Saw the Collector kind of vibes. Nicholas says Immaculate's a really good horror movie if you haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I heard really good things, especially about the final shot in the film. So I really do want to see it. I just got to pick my spots when it comes to going to the theater because it's so expensive. And we got MAGA Cat in the chat. What's happening, MAGA Cat? Great to see ya. Always awesome to see my fellow McCrazies jump in here. I feel like especially some of the McCrazies where, maybe it took a little while to really earn that, which I totally appreciate. Always very grateful of the people that are like, you know what, I'm just going to give this guy a shot. But also I appreciate the folks that are like, you know what, this guy's got to earn my sub and earn my attention. And I feel those ones feel really, really good too. So always great to see you here, MAGA Cat. Really fun to interact with you on other people's live chats as well. Yeah, I don't know about me liking the new Scream movies in about 5 years. We'll see. Again, I don't think that they're bad, but compared to the first four, they are. Yeah, the cowl is fucking fire, Toronto Freddy. And the pig design is, I mean, everything is so professional quality. And again, this is going to be a Batman movie like nothing you've ever seen in live action. MAGA Cat, not a fan of Scream. Yeah, I get it. Not everyone's a fan, and that's totally cool. Maybe it was that they came along at the right time in my life. I was 14 when the first Scream came out. And there'd been just a little bit of a gap. It felt like a big gap at the time, but a little bit of a slasher movie gap, especially for a new IP in slashers. And the whodunit element was really cool. We got Jamie Hart in the chat. What's happening, Jamie? Saw your little vid of the full moon last night. That was really cool. Everyone's saying what's up to each other. My favorite Star Wars movie. Oh, I'm a basic bitch, Ryan Swayze. It's The Empire Strikes Back. I would probably I'd rank it Empire, the original, Return of the Jedi, and The Force Awakens are my top four, and then the other ones can just fight for the shit ditch. I remember when Hereditary came out, Davey, a lot of people act like it was the best horror movie ever. That's why I ended up disappointed, and I just don't like the ending. Yeah, so Kate and I kind of mentioned that in our Longlegs review, the whole idea that like anytime that you um overhype a movie or a movie gets overhyped for you, it does a disservice to the film. In the you know in the instance of Longlegs, it does a disservice to the amazing marketing that gets you enticed without giving really anything away other than the fact that there's a murder investigation happening. Like that's pretty much all you knew from the early marketing material of Longlegs. So I think like one of the responsibilities I feel as somebody that's an occasional movie reviewer, really movie reviewing is not primarily what I do here, is just to tell you what I think of the film and not get too crazy with it because I want the film to be able to speak for itself, right? Like if people had just told you like, oh, Hereditary was really good, I really enjoyed it, and then you went and saw it, you might feel a little different than if you had to listen to, if you listen to like 8 or 9 minutes of somebody just like telling you it was the best thing ever. Jamie says, we're getting 100% Davey 100% of the time. That's the way to do it. Absolutely, Jamie. I don't know how to do it any other way. And if I wasn't feeling myself, I would tell you guys, like I did the other week when I let you guys all know that, like, hey, if I haven't been myself, it's because I've been looking for a job the last couple of weeks and it was really stressing me out. Like, if something's going on, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, certainly I don't come here to like boo hoo hoo or anything like that. And yeah, you guys are always going to get the genuine article. What's up, Gina? We got my chunky Jordy in the chat. Great seeing you. The overhype regarding Longlegs, I just don't get it, says T. Parker. It's good, but I urge people to watch more horror films. Scariest film of the decade, please. Yeah, I feel like the people that are saying scariest film of the decade probably aren't horror fans. They're probably just like regular movie reviewers that would say that. Yeah, anytime you're talking about like anytime you're adding an EST at the end of your description for a movie, it's dangerous territory because you may be ruining people's expectations. Because I think Longlegs is fantastic. It's beautifully shot. The sound design is great. There's not one performance that doesn't work for me. I liked the mystery. I like the surprises. I felt like it revealed just enough without revealing too much. There's nothing else that I didn't feel like walking out of that movie. I didn't feel like there was anything that they left hanging for me. Like I felt completely satisfied. And so scariest film of the decade. I guess I don't even like think in those sort of parameters because to me it's not about like where do I rank this necessarily. It's just like, did I enjoy it or not? And then I sliding on the scale of like, well, did I enjoy it? Like, oh wow, I really enjoyed this one. Like to me, Longlegs and Late Night with the Devil have been like my two favorite movies of this year. But they're totally different movies. So it's almost like doesn't make sense to really compare. Let's throw Abigail in there too. These are three different horror movies that have been very popular this year. None of them are like the other movies. So it's funny when you sort of like a horse race. You're like, oh, Abigail's the best one out of these three. And it's like, it's tough to compare. There are three completely different films, even though they might, all be considered horror movies. So yeah, I think you're right, T. Parker. I think like, just even using that term of like scariest or best or whatever is just, miss me with that. Ryan didn't think Longlegs was scary at all. Having said that, I recognize it's a well-made film. There you go. That's about as fair as you can be, right? Jamie says, don't worry about the sub count too much. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes subs slow down during summer because many are spending time doing things outside. There's no perfect formula for success. Yeah, I feel like, just kind of getting back a little bit to, spending more time on pre-recorded vids. There's so much in my head that has been getting backed up. Gavin, our guy, Mud Nelson, had requested the Intruder review for his birthday, which was on June 2nd. And we just got around to it. So I've been getting so caught up with lives and collaborations and stuff that I just feel like I've been leaving some things on the back burner that I really want to do for the channel. Like I want to get, I'm going to go on Dave McCrae's channel here within the next couple months because I'm an associate producer on It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. So I'm going to go on an episode of McCrae Live and we're going to talk about Evil Dead. And what I'd really like to do is put together like an Evil Dead retrospective here on the channel, do my Evil Dead franchise ranking on the channel, and I've got that Evil Dead companion book. I'd like to do a little video about that book as well. So That way, once people see me on McCrae Live, Dave has such a wide net. And while some of the folks from the Dave McCrae, some of the McCrazies have come on over here and given me a sub, really appreciate you guys again. There's a whole bunch of people over there that might just see my name pop up in the chat and not think anything of it. But maybe after I make a good impression there, hopefully on Dave's channel, what I'd like to do is already, we're going to talk Evil Dead on that episode of McCrae Live. I want people to be able to come over to my channel after that and see a catalog of Evil Dead material so they can, be like, oh, this guy seems to kind of know what he's talking about with Evil Dead, and maybe it'll drive some traffic there. So I totally get you, Jamie. It is, yeah, it ebbs and flows. It slows down and speeds up for different reasons. But I definitely think like it's a smart thing for me to do, to just, to try to be calculated to a certain degree. I mean, it's not just about like trying to imitate what other people are doing, but these are things that I've wanted to be doing that I've been putting on the back burner. So I really want to do that. I also need to do my Child's Play franchise ranking. Antonis, who is a Patreon member, requested a Bride of Chucky review that I need to get to. So whole bunch of stuff here on the channel that I want to catch up on. And I think the only way I'm going to do that is to cool it down on some of the live stuff. But pretty much just this live. I feel like, with the watch alongs with Kate, I feel like we get some really good interactions there. And I think on Late Night with the Davey, I get to spend a good amount of time with you guys as well. So hopefully y'all aren't mad at me when these slow down or when they stop. But once we're able to unlock memberships on the channel, we're going to see some member only streams. And I'll do, becoming a member. Once I'm able to unlock that, it's not going to be expensive or anything. I want everyone to, to come here and enjoy it. But I do want to, throw you guys some perks for being members. And it would be great if, if the channel could, cover a bill or two, since I'm, always on that high speed internet and, purchasing stuff to make the production value better here. Thank you so much, Gina. That's right. Don't forget to hit the like button. Nicholas McMath says there's 11 likes right now. So there you go. But 13 people in the chat. So not everyone has liked it. Hit that like button. What's happening? Gory Tiger. Great to see you. Been spreading the Gotham Noir pig trailer. Hell yeah, Medley Man. Thank you so much. Gene, you're too sweet. I think you rock, Gene. I think you rock. Yeah, my Chunky Jordy. Yes, Gina, shorts are a good way to get views. I've been putting out a lot of shorts as well. Yeah, I'm just trying to hit it from all sorts of angles. Just keeping an eye on everything. Again, it's a lot to keep track of. I'm a one-man show unless Kate is on the stream with me, but all the behind the scenes stuff is certainly one-man show for sure. Putting together the thumbnails, shorts, editing vids, all that kind of stuff. Reaching out, getting guests for Late Night with the Davey, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Big Rob, the teaser was awesome. Thank you so much, T. Parker. I really appreciate that, man. Whenever it comes to something like this, I don't want to give off the feeling that I'm being, selfish or that I'm taking something away from you guys. It's really more that I want to be able to give you guys more. And to be able to do that, I need to free up some time until this is my full-time job, which is probably, I don't know, years away. Scream 6 is terrible because of Mindy and my eye. Well, yeah, I mean, the whole like people getting stabbed in the gut and then it's not really serious when that's the most dangerous place to be stabbed. Yeah, pretty tough stuff. Absolutely, Jamie. It didn't occur to me until last night, but I thought I was subbed to your channel. I apologize. I thought I already was. I saw your moon video pop up and I was like, oh my God, I'm not subbed over here. So I gave you that sub and I'll be catching up on what you got. Medley Man predicted the 2 male killers and that there was a third killer in Scream 6. So I couldn't agree less that it came out of nowhere. Yeah. I predicted the killers in Scream 5 and it made me like it less. You shouldn't be able to predict that shit. That's just the way that I feel. Oh, everyone's saying what's up. Scream 7 looks to have high potential. I think so. I'm really pumped. I said it earlier on the channel during a different stream about like just Scream news in general. But I think one of the things, of course, there was a money issue bringing Nev back because they didn't, they offered her like, chicken scratch for part 6, which is why she didn't come back for that one. I think that bringing Kevin in as a director is a huge part of Nev coming back. So I'm really looking forward to it. There you go. Toronto Freddy. You should always temper your expectations. That's the way to go. Hey, what's happening, Aaron? Hello, everyone. I slept in. That's why I'm just joining. No problem. No problem. We're just sort of chit chatting here. We'll get to the franchise ranking here shortly. I just wanted to kind of catch up, everyone. Yeah, I think Nicolas Cage's performance was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed Long Legs. I think the only way you could be disappointed with Long Legs is if you really thought it was going to be the greatest film of all time or the scariest film of all time, which is, I think that we have to bear some of the responsibility for where our expectations go. Of course, like what you choose to watch, whether it's reviews or, all of the trailers that are out there, that can certainly sort of sway those expectations. But ultimately, it's up to us. What's happening, Eli? Great to see you, bud. Ryan Swayze's ready for the tier ranking. Let me get to a couple other things really quick before we go over to the tier ranking, guys. Just wanted to cover a couple little bits here. No, I'm falling behind on the chat, but what can you do? So speaking of upcoming pre-recorded material, I am wrapping up editing. I just have to lay music on my Rad 9 movies from 1994. That is a Rad Pack challenge. So if you guys know about the Rad Pack, that's Born to Be Rad, My Killer Podcast, and Justin David Talks. Excuse me, sometimes you can't hold in that burp, you know what I mean? They've all got their own channels, and then they come together as the Rad Pack. They do these really cool challenges. So they did a, Rad 9 challenge for movies from 1994, which is an amazing, year for film. I was 12 years old, so it was like very formative time as far as like my taste in film is concerned. So I am, just wrapping up editing on that. That should drop, I think, tomorrow morning. I'll be dropping that one. So keep an eye out. You should be able to see it pop up in your feed. That was really fun. And what's funny is a year ago, I did my third video ever was a Rad 9 challenge. It was the Rad 9 movies that made me. And I did a physical media edition. So all of the films that I picked, I have in my actual collection. And I was like showing off the Blu-ray of it and everything like that. And it's funny because when I sat down to record this Rad 9 movies from 1994, it was July 18th. And I was like, oh, I'm curious, when did I do that video? About a year ago. And I checked it out and I released that other Rad 9 challenge on July 18th. So a little serendipitous there, a little bit of fate coming in. So really cool to have that kind of full circle moment coming back to do another Rad 9 movies. This one was really fun to put together. I think you guys will dig it. And I think you'll see with this Rad 9 challenge video, you'll understand why I want to dip, back into the pre-recorded stuff. And then really quick, before we get on over to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise tier maker ranking, I've got some upcoming streams here on the channel. Tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern, I will be on Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13, as I had mentioned a few minutes ago. There's a link in the description below. We are going to talk our top 10 I can't even talk. Top 10 scariest moments in horror film. Jeez. Woo! Another reason to not do the lives, right? I can barely talk sometimes. So that's going to be over on Flet's channel. The link is in the description below. It's also going to stream simultaneously over here as well, just in case you guys aren't subbed over there. And then Matt Facci and I are kicking off our Start Bench Cut show. That's going to be once a month. We're going to do that live. That's kicking off Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Jump in I did a community post on my channel. Jump in there and let us know what you want to see us put in the Start Bench Cut. Now, Matt and I are going to prepare a couple Start Bench Cuts for each other, and then we're going to just go with what you guys say in the chat. I guess the chat's over there. There we go. So yeah, we're going to focus on like creature features. Summer movies is kind of like the theme. So every episode will, kind of create some sort of theme, some sort of guideline, just so there's some focus. But by all means, whatever Start Bench Cut ideas you have, throw them out there in that community post, or you could even, there's a link in the description below for this stream here. So jump into that stream and just go ahead and start. I think you should be able to start leaving comments or leaving stuff in the chat. So let us know. That will be Monday. tomorrow, July 22nd at 9 p.m. Eastern. Really looking forward to that. If you don't already sub over at Fat Cheese Cinema, go give him a sub. That stream will be here on the Davey Death Ray channel, but it will simultaneously stream over on Matt's channel as well. And then, of course, we've got Late Night with the Davey coming back. That'll be Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm really pumped for this one. We've got Daniel from the Cobwebs channel coming on this show. Man, if you guys don't sub over to the Cobwebs channel, he's got thousands, like 25,000, maybe 25,000 plus subs right now. I really love he's got a great taste in film. He watches a lot of movies. He's really well informed, very articulate. I mean, the guy's like stream of consciousness discussion on these films. It's like he remembers so many little bits of these movies because I don't see any cuts. It's incredible when you watch his reviews. I don't know if any of you are subbed to him that are in the chat right now, but let me know, because when you watch his reviews, he like isn't taking, breaks. There's like no editing on the takes. It's just stream of consciousness, and it's just very impressive. Something that I aspire to reach that sort of level. And don't really know him too much. We've just interacted with like the DMs and stuff. So kind of like the Tales from the Shelf episode last week, it'll be really fun to get to know him while you guys are getting to know him a little bit as well. And then Horror from the High Desert is coming back next Saturday, the 27th of July, and that'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's Cecil Laird from the Horror Show channel, Jason from Sinister Cinema, and Braden Timmons from Braden Timmons. And of course, myself, I'm there too. So in our first episode, we talked about horror movies that took place in the desert. And now we're totally flipping the script, going the exact opposite direction. We're going to be covering horror movies in the snow. That will be live July 27th. That's next Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Keep an eye out for that. If you're not subbed to the Horror Show channel, go over there, give him a sub, and click that notification bell. And then, guys, next Saturday night, after doing the Horror from the High Desert, Kate and I will be jumping on and doing a watch along of the original Jaws. Really looking forward to that one. This whole series of watching the Jaws movies with you guys has been a lot of fun for us. And it's really cool to see the movie date with Davey and Kate kind of take a little bit of a direction going over into the watch along category. So yeah, this will be a fun one. Just, staying active with, all these streams and collaborations we've got going. So yeah, I think that's all I've got planned for right now. So it is time to get into the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise tier ranking. But I want to jump in because I've missed 18 comments. So let me catch up a little bit with you guys here. I am not going to watch the final trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not going to do it because I feel like they're just going to like show more cameos and more jokes. And I'm like, I just want to go into the movie and watch the movie. I'm sort of like in the era where I don't want to watch the final trailer. I'll watch that first trailer or the teaser in the first trailer, but that final trailer, I feel like they give away too much. Medley Man says, I know I always got more subs when I covered more relevant things. Yeah, that's true. Got to keep up with the new stuff for sure. I think those critical blurbs would be better served if they used specific descriptors, atmospheric, creepy, instead of hyperbole. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, just talk like kind of let the film speak for itself and just like, yeah, you don't have to dive in. The hyperbole just kills people's expectations. There it is. Gavin's birthday is the day after Jamie's. Double the trouble, double the fun. Gina says, I love retrospectives on film. They're so incredibly thumbs up, happy, pause, and purple heart. Yeah, I really like that. I mean, as an audience member, I love that kind of stuff. So I want to get a little bit more into creating some of that myself and getting, one of the reasons why I started this channel was to get my voice out there, right? And to be able to share my opinions with you guys. So yeah, everybody seems to be really sweet about me kind of backing off on these weekend roundups. I'd imagine we'll still do just like casual hangouts, but maybe it'll be like every other week or, we'll find a way. We will find a way. Let's see here. Aaron says, you two should call your collaborations the Dave and Davey Show, especially if they become a regular thing. That would be awesome. If Dave Wow. I mean, just even thinking about Dave wanting to do something regular with me, I mean, he is easily my favorite YouTuber. Like if I had to pick one, that's the one that just stands out to me. Yeah, I mean, Dave McRae is not only an inspiration as far as like content creation goes, but just the way he's able to be so dynamic with his personality, but at the same time, nuanced, informative. I feel like all the experience he brings from, show business and everything, he's able to sort of educate his audience a little bit and still be entertaining. So, like, yeah, I mean, I've really been missing the two dudes and some bullshit with he and Tony Michael. And yeah, maybe if Dave's like, oh, there's a void here, Tony's so busy, if that's becomes something they can only do every few months and Dave wants to do something with me, I mean, let's just go ahead and speak it into existence, Aaron. I'm taking a big leap thinking that Dave's just want to do a show with me, but Dave and I actually hopped on a call like about a month ago and it was great. Like I've been wanting to get into voice acting and stuff like that. So I reached out to him and, we were able to set something up. I've been a fan of his for a really long time. I believe he's a sub here to this channel. And I think he's been, enjoying what I've been doing. He's mentioned it a couple times, on his stream. So yeah, we had a call. It went great. I feel honored that he would even spend that kind of time with me because he's such a busy guy. So, yeah, I think Dave McRae is awesome. That would be incredible to have a regular show with him, Aaron. That's all I'm going to be thinking about for the rest of the day. Thanks. Nicholas McMath says there's 14 likes right now. That's great because there's 14 people in the chat. So I am satisfied for the moment being. There we go. Everyone's just sort of chit-chatting here. Ryan Swayze says, T Parker, it was so cool to see you on Sledgehammer Horror. That was awesome, T Parker. Yeah. Really cool to put like, I mean, I see your face with your icon and everything, but to see the personality come out, like, to actually see you interacting was really cool. There we go. Jamie, thanks me for subbing. Of course, Jamie. I swear I thought I already was subbed. I felt like a jerk. I was like, oh, she's gonna get this notification and she's gonna be like, what an asshole. He didn't sub sooner. All right, guys. So let's go ahead. It seems like everyone's just sort of chit-chatting here, but we do have some newcomers. We've got Frank's Media and Reviews. What's happening, Frank? Frank may be making an appearance on Late Night with the Davey here pretty soon. Frank, I'm not sure if maybe I missed your message. I know I reached out to you about coming on the show on the 31st of July. I believe that's the last day, the last Wednesday. And you had to check your schedule. So not to have that conversation here with everyone in the live chat, but yeah, if you're able to make it, that would be great. And if not, I can always, we can always push out and find a good time for you. Yeah, the trailers for Longlegs hadn't given Nicholas the high expectations. I heard the last trailer gave away a little bit too much, so I stayed away from the last one. Jamie did a rad 9 videos that made me too. Yeah, you should do the current one. They're running it through the end of August. So that would be like a cool way to sort of dip your toes back into the whole thing. I saw that video and I watched a little bit of it and I was like, Kate was asleep next to me on the couch. And I was like, I want to save this one. I want to watch this one with Kate. Everyone's saying what's up. Did my first Rad 9 challenge a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'm wrapping up that one here. Jamie says Cobweb's channel is great. My Killer Podcast, Mel is a cutie. I'm not going to argue with that one, Toronto Freddy. Daniel's fantastic. Just posted my interview with him. Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty awesome. He just seems like such a friendly guy. I mean, again, guys, I'm always talking about this on the channel, but the YouTube community, the content creators, and of course, everyone in the chat, the amount of support that I see for not just myself being a new channel, but continued support on other channels and people coming over and giving us a shot and everything. And even, folks like Daniel, who he's got a massive sub count, and willing to hop on my tiny little show. And actually, when I reached out to him, he's like, because I told him, hey, I do this show. It's called Late Night with the Davey. It's kind of like a late night talk show. And he's like, I've seen your show. I think it's great. This would be awesome. Let's do it. And then I've got tentatively scheduled. I think it's going to work out just fine. But I'm not going to post anything about it yet. But I've got Cody Leach secured to show up on Late Night with the Davey And as of now, he's scheduled for Wednesday, August 28th, which is the 15th anniversary of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I'm a big fan of that movie. Cody's a big fan of the movie as well. We'll probably talk about music and like I want to be able to talk to Cody about stuff that he's not always talking about on his own channel and on other channels. So of course we'll dive into the whole like, movie talk, I'm sure a little bit here and there. But I want to talk to him about music, and then yeah, we'll probably celebrate Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 just a little bit there. What's happening, Destiny? Great to see you here in the chat. Caught Destiny and Brett over on their stream earlier today. That's always great fun to see those guys together. Really appreciate you jumping in, Des. It's great to see you here. There we go. All right, let's get into it, guys. I don't think I'm missing anyone else. There we go. Frank is confirming with his wife. He'll let me know by today. That's awesome. Yeah. We're pretty chill. We're pretty casual, Frank. No big deal. No big deal. Bronson, it's going great. Hope you're having an awesome day as well. Ryan Swayze says Cody Leach is the man. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's one of the heavy hitters and another great example of a guy that, I reached out to him a couple months ago. He was like, hey man, I'm really busy, or I just did a bunch of collaborations and I sort of need to pump the brakes because I think I got a little too in over my head. And he's like, reach out to me in July. We'll put something together. So even like that's the communication is great for somebody that's so busy, that's built a business for himself, incredibly successful. I really respect, what Cody does, and I really enjoy his vids. Nicholas says, Davey, I know it's an odd question, but do you consider yourself a hippie? Just curious. I don't know. Do I consider myself a hippie? Well, I use cannabis every day. So, I'm into that. I feel like I'm a pretty loving guy, regardless of who you are, for the most part. I would say, not to get into it too much, I would say politically I'm in the middle, and I would probably lean more conservative than liberal. But again, in the middle. So I think of myself as a pretty accepting guy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I am a hippie. You guys tell me. You guys tell me in the chat, am I a hippie? Just based on everything you know about me, it's so tough to judge for yourself. Jamie says, I'm a hippie for show. Yeah, because hippie to me when I was growing up usually meant like left leaning and all that stuff. But those roles have like kind of reversed. When I was in high school, it was like the conservative Christians that like wanted to censor things like movies and music and the things that you said, speech and all of that stuff. Now we're kind of like living in a world where it's sort of like the opposite of that. So it's almost like when I think of hippie now, like I see more hippies like on the right side of the middle than I do in a lot of other places. I mean, I live in Arizona that's considered a pretty conservative state, and weed is legal here. So I feel like even that's an issue that's become like kind of for everybody. So now maybe if you're a hippie, you can be, it doesn't necessarily mean left or right, Republican, Democrat. It's like, I think you can be a hippie and sort of be in the middle. And that's sort of the hippie stance is like, I can get along with everyone. Like, I'm not going to force you to believe the way that I believe. And please don't force me to believe the way you believe. Let's just have discussions and all that kind of fun stuff. But that's enough of that. Nicholas considers me a hippie. So there it is. Boom. There it is. All right, guys, let's get into this franchise ranking. Let's do it to it. I got to share that screen. Bibbida bobbida boop. Here we go. There we go. Talking to myself. Don't mind me. Okay. Let me just make sure everything is still humming along there. Awesome. Okay, guys. So we're going to jump into this. This should be fun. So we got our categories. I want to do like an actual start because I'm going to cut this out as its own separate thing. All right, guys. So we are going to get into our Nightmare on Elm Street franchise tier maker ranking live with the chat. Of course, if I really feel strongly about one of these, I'm going to keep it in the category I put it in. But you guys know how this rolls. Sometimes I let the chat influence me if I'm on the fence. So let's see how this one rolls. We've got 5 categories. The top category is welcome to prime time, bitch. That's the best of the best, right? Like you are prime time, Freddy, like you're top tier. Oh yeah. And then the next one, which is pretty dang close, is You are all my children now. And that's like, you're pretty dang good. You're just, maybe you're not prime time, but man, this is a good movie too. Every town has an Elm Street that's kind of like, yeah, this is middle of the road. Every town's got one of these, like, ain't nothing special, but not bad. We got Screw Your Pass, which is we're reaching the bottom of the barrel here. Not too good. And then of course we got You Forgot the Power Glove, which is the worst of the worst. Jokester Freddy. Not even just Jokester Freddy, but like cartoon level Jokester Freddy. So yeah, guys, those are the categories. What do you think of the categories? Are we good with those? I think those are pretty fun. And how bad or how good is my Freddy imitation? I don't know. I'm no voice actor yet. All right. Everyone's getting their last couple things in here. Jamie said, I'm a lefty, but I don't care what people are politically. There you go. There you go. I think that's just a healthy attitude to have, is like, it's sort of like religion to a certain degree, where it's like to not push it and to be welcoming to others. That's probably the best way to get people to like see that maybe your point of view has some like merit, and they can take something from your personality or your beliefs because you're being cool about it. I mean, how are you're not going to browbeat people into believing what you believe. I mean, I guess some people can try, but whatever. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get going here on this ranking. I mean, come on, the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, this is a welcome to primetime, bitch, right? I mean, this isn't even close. I don't think this movie could even be. I don't even think you could consider putting this film in a lower category than welcome to primetime, bitch. Are you guys happy with the original A Nightmare on Elm Street being in welcome to primetime, bitch? Let me know in the chat. This movie just got, the atmosphere, introduction to Freddy. Heather Langenkamp is charming here. Dave McCrae just did a members only watch along yesterday of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And he was talking about how this is like Nancy's like the perfect final girl. And it's like, yeah, by 1984, like that formula had been like tested by other movies. And man, Wes really like brought in all of the best elements. While Nancy is like a teenage girl, she also has like these motherly, like nurturing qualities as well. So great character there. John Saxon as a cop in a horror movie. I'll take that all friggin' day. And some really great kills. Johnny Depp's first appearance, getting sucked into the bed and spat out like a blender that chopped him up. Of course, Tina's death is one of the most like disturbing, shocking, scary moments that I can think of in horror. So I think this one, very much deserves to be in that top category. Let's see here. There it is. Aaron says yes, 100%. Gene says yes, I'm very happy. Big Rod says welcome to primetime fits. Jamie, OG Elm Street's a classic, top tier for sure. OG's the best, belongs in primetime. Ryan says, I know it's not your style, Davey, but I think it would be fun to see you do a stream stoned. I've done, let's see here. On our last episode of Movie Punks, I took a couple hits. I did a watch along with Matt Facci over on Facci Cinema where we watched The Prowler, and I was hitting the pen the whole time. I guess for me, with these solo streams, it's just so much easier to not be affected that way. I feel like I get less jumbled up with my words and all that kind of stuff. Again, to me, it's kind of a performance. I want to give you guys, the genuine article, which maybe sometimes the genuine article is a Stone Davey, but I want to give you guys my best, so maybe we can do like we did. Kate and I did a watch along of Grandma's Boy that's on the channel. And we were ripping the pens the whole time. So Ryan, if you want to see that, go to the live tab on the channel and watch our 420 special where we watch Grandma's Boy, and you'll see a Stony Davey the whole time. Yep. Worst thing about the OG is the blow up Dalton. Yeah, it is pretty odd, huh? And like fat short Freddy on fire is kind of interesting. Yeah. He just looks so much not like Robert Englund. And then, all right, guys, moving over to Freddy's Revenge. Oh, I think I'm going to disappoint some people here. I'm putting Freddy's Revenge in Every Town Has an Elm Street. If you asked me like 6 months ago, I probably would have put it in You Are All My Children Now, which is where that quote is from. It's from Freddy's Revenge. But again, like when I went and watched all the movies for my franchise ranking that I did on my channel back in May, it just didn't. I just kind of it didn't keep my attention as much. Kind of bored me. I felt like Jesse says the same like two or three things throughout the whole movie over and over again, and I just think that this one's like okay. I know I'm probably gonna get some pushback on that, but that's totally fine. That's why we're here. Eli says all Elm Street movies are primetime except the crappy remake. We will see, Eli. We will see. You have to do the theater snack tier list, Stone. That's an awesome idea, Medley Man. 100%. And what I should do is I should buy all those snacks and have them here in front of me. What, like, have a red vine, eat a sweet tart, like eat a sour punch straw, M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, Skittles, like whatever, you know, all that kind of stuff. Raisinets, even though fuck, I'd never eat Raisinets in my life. The last thing I want to do is put chocolate on a raisin. I mean, if I'm going to eat a raisin, I don't know. If you eat a Wonka bar, no one knows that you're partaking of the wacky stuff. There you go. All right, let's see here. It's not children tier. Yes, Freddy's Revenge is in every town. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, but Freddy is very scary. I do agree with you, Gene. I love Freddy here. But to me, it's, you know, the movie is about so much more, but I agree with you. I think Freddy is awesome in Freddy's Revenge. I just think the rest of the movie is just like okay. And for Gina, it's her least favorite. Wow. Jamie says Freddy's Revenge was my first Elm Street in the theater, so I got to go with You're All My Children. It's a personal thing. Even as a fanboy, due to nostalgia, I'd rather watch the original over too. Yeah. Oh yeah. T. Parker says Freddy's Revenge is All My Children now. Touch Me All Night Long is a top tier scene. Is that the cleanup scene? The room cleanup? Yogurt covered raisins are actually goated. Yeah, those are better than chocolate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I feel pretty good leaving it there. Every town has an Elm Street. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. I think this one is welcome to primetime, bitch, for sure, right? I mean, this is like a kind of a no-brainer, right? A lot of people say this is their favorite in the franchise, you know, or if it's not, it's their second favorite. It's right there. Again, there's that Nancy trilogy. If you go with the first, the third, and then New Nightmare, pretty good mix there. I don't think I'm going to get any complaints here as far as putting Dream Warriors up in the top ranking. So yeah, there we go. I welcome that bitch to prime time. Bitches love prime time. There we go. Yeah, Ryan, we kind of talked about that. That is a reputation that's relatively new, not something that was talked about when the film came out, but something that's been talked about in the last couple decades for sure. Yeah. Revisionist history is what I call it. I struggle between this and the original Halloween as the best of all 33 of these films. That would be a fun ranking to do as well. I know a lot of channels have done that where they rank the big three all together. I don't think it's, yeah, you know, we already had that chat earlier today. Aaron says, I agree, Davey. There's a trend to downplay Dream Warriors lately, but its atmosphere earns it a top spot. Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, I think, you know, to downplay it, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's one of the more popular films in the franchise. And then yeah, guys, moving on to Nightmare 4. This may be controversial as well. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna put Nightmare 4 in You Are All My Children now. When I went back again and, you know, rewatched the series before doing that franchise ranking in May, man, I really enjoyed part 4, you know, on a whole different level than I'd ever enjoyed it before. I really like Alice as a character here. I really enjoy the montage where she's like putting all the charms, like everything from all of her dead friends, and she's like, you know, gonna wear it into the dream realm to give her strength. Like, I love that kind of scene. The soundtrack's great in part 4. So yeah, man, this one is You Are All My Children now. And to me, I'm not even on the fence. I wouldn't put this in every town as an Elm Street. This one climbed a couple spots in my ranking when I did it last time. Aaron says 4 is every town. Medley Man says it's the most underrated Freddy film. I tend to agree with you there, Medley Man. Yeah. Jamie says, I agree. Nightmare 4 is All My Children. Like the soap opera? Just joking. Alice is a fantastic final girl. She does a great job here. The Oct is in there letting us know it's 102 days until Halloween. Love the countdown. Between the Oct and Nicholas McMath, we've got the likes countdown or the like count, and then the Halloween countdown. Yes, I can taste it. I can taste it. Toronto Freddy is cool with the Dream Master being there. Perfect. Love it. Eli says, off topic real quick, bud, but do you have the Halloween Ends 4K Steelbook? I don't. I don't have the 4K Steelbook. I think I only have the Steelbook of the 2018 Halloween movie. I'm not so much of like, I'm a collector, but I'm not like one of the like, I love like Planet CHH and Born to Be Rad and all that, but I'm not the sort of collector that has to have like 4 or 5 versions of the film. Some of them, like I still have like my DVD copies, like Day of the Dead and all that, and I ended up upgrading to Blu-ray. 4K to me, we kind of talked about this during the Jaws 2 stream last night. I don't know if I'm really into 4K. I think it's a bit too clear. I think sometimes like lacking some of the clarity makes the effects look better, especially if the movie was made like years and years ago. So maybe for like Halloween Ends, it would be cool to have the 4K because it's a modern film, right? But I think 4K is just a bit too crisp for me, maybe. I don't know. Aaron Click says I can deal with your tier ranking. Thank you. Welcome to Wonderland, Alice. Evil Dies in 102 Nights. There you go. Eli, I do not have a PO box. That is amazing, though. How do I find you can you DM me on Instagram or on Twitter, whichever one that you use there? Because I'll share my address. I mean, no one cares about my address at this point. Hopefully at some point I get to the spot where like I want to have a PO box for that kind of stuff. But at 755 subs, I'm not worried about shooting an address off to someone for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next film here. We are looking at part 5, The Dream Child. And for me, this is Screw Your Pass, I think. Maybe Every Town Has an Elm Street. I don't know. I am on the fence. I think like it could sit with Every Town Has an Elm Street. I do think Freddy's Revenge is better. Yeah, better than part 5. So I think part 5 fits here in Screw Your Pass. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you think I should bump it up or shit. Let me know if you think it needs to be all the way down at the bottom with some of these other ones that have yet to come. Let me know. Eli doesn't have any social. Well, maybe I can reach out to you. We'll find a way. Here, let me. I'll shoot you. You can email me. Do you have email, Eli? So shoot me an email. DavyDeathRay@gmail.com. There, I just dropped that in the chat. Shoot me an email and I'll get you my address. That would be incredibly sweet, man. And of course, Eli, if you end up, sending me that copy, I'll do a little physical media show where I'll, give you a shout out, of course, for hooking me up with the copy. And we'll kind of go over, if there's any differences in the features between that and the Blu-ray copy of the film. And then, of course, showing off everything the Steelbook has to offer. That would be amazing. And I would be grateful to you. And man, that's something that no one's ever offered to do. So even just thinking of that is very, very sweet. Thank you. Aaron Click says Dream Child is Screw Your Pass. Screw Your Pass. Passed here. There we go. I agree with that. Okay. Screw Your Pass, says Toronto Freddy. Nicholas McMath says there's 17 likes. Oh yeah, we are climbing the like chart. T. Parker says with 4K Blu-ray, I care more about the sound, especially if it's Dolby Atmos. Rewatching the original Twister in 4K remaster was an immersive experience. There you go. So yeah, maybe sometimes T. Parker, I think it's like how they handle the upgrade too. Because I think sometimes there's just better crews working on those upgrades where they actually do, go in there and digitally hide the strings and all the stuff from the effects that maybe you see if they don't do their homework. Way back in the day before when Blu-ray was relatively new, I didn't have a Blu-ray player. And what made me get it was that I watched my brother had a Blu-ray copy of the original Jaws. This is like, 15 years ago or whenever it was. and I watched Jaws on Blu-ray while staying with him and when he lived in California. And the way that they had like color corrected the sky and the water to be consistent in the final, that final third of the film. And just like how beautiful the movie looked, I could tell that Universal put love into that Blu-ray. So yeah, I would imagine with Twister, they probably did the same thing. And I'm not saying I'd never do the 4K leap, but right now I feel pretty content with Blu-rays. Yeah. That mastermind headed Freddy baby can get the fuck out of here. There you go. Raymond, really appreciate you jumping in, man. You're always hanging out in the chat with us. It's great to see you. Can't stay getting ready to go see Twisters tonight. That's awesome. Hope you have a great time, man. Yeah, enjoy the film, and we'll see you next time around. All right, guys. So we're pretty happy with the Dream Child and Screw Your Pass. Now we're moving to Freddy's Dead. I don't think anyone's going to give me any pushback there. Freddy's Dead is undoubtedly, you forgot the Power Glove. I feel like everyone can do that. Like, it's like an imitation of Freddy. It's like everyone can do a George Bush, right? Everyone can do a Trump imitation, and everyone can do a Freddy imitation. Yeah, Super Freddy from part 5. That scene it's Super Freddy's got a cool look. I do like that black and white, that whole idea. There's little bits in part 5 that are like, or wait, is Super Freddy part 4? Is it part 4 or part 5? See, now I'm even getting jumbled up. I just saw Chad's comment there. By the way, welcome to the chat, Chad. And now I'm like, wait, is that part 4 or part 5? Because like I said earlier, I'm a relatively casual A Nightmare on Elm Street fans. I don't know them the way that I know Friday the 13th and Halloween for sure. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Power Glove. There it is. Medley Man says there are no movies deserving of the bottom in the series, but that's the whole idea though about like they all, if there's no movies that were worthy of being there, I wouldn't have the category because we're just comparing them to one another. Yeah. Yep, there we go. You forgot the Power Glove. Haven't seen Dream Child. It's the only Nightmare on Elm Street movie I haven't seen. Yeah, I mean, I would say just watch it just so you know yourself. To me, it's just sort of a rehash of the movie before it and not as good. Although there is like carryover of some of the characters. Super Freddy's Part 5. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yep. All right. So we've got Freddy's Dead and You Forgot the Power Glove. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, guys. Where are we putting that? I mean, for me, this is Welcome to Primetime, bitch, all the way, 100%. I really, really enjoy this movie. Again, Nancy Trilogy, Part 1, Dream Warriors, New Nightmare. I love that Wes came back to this one. The whole meta approach is really cool here. Robert getting to play a version of himself and also the jokey version of Freddy, as well as the entity Freddy. Heather playing herself as, an exaggerated version of herself. Really excellent here. Seeing Wes in there, just there's something about this movie. It just feels, like a whole new ball game. It's like Wes coming back and being able to sort of reimagine the series and an early example of kind of a legacy sequel, because really it doesn't really pay attention to, I don't think it names the other movies, but it definitely alludes to the fact that Freddy had become like less scary over time, but it doesn't actually like mention that those movies even exist in that world. And then again, Miko Hughes, his performance here as Dylan is really good. I mean, you got some really great young child performers in some of these movies. I mean, Danielle Harris in the Halloween series, Corey Feldman in Friday the 13th, and Miko Hughes here in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think he puts in a hell of a performance here. I really love Dylan's New Nightmare as well, and can't wait to see what happens next with that one. But what do you guys think? Does a New Nightmare belong in Welcome to Primetime, bitch? Or is it more of a, you are all my children now? Let's see. Aaron says, I hate how ridiculous Freddy got. I remember even as a teen, early 20-something, those later Freddy movies were dumb to me. Yeah, definitely got made for kids pretty much. If only H2O was as good as New Nightmare. Yeah, totally agree with you there, Medley man. If only. Ugh, H2O. There you go. Freddie says it's no contest. Yep, Aaron agrees. Excellent. We're just cruising through this ranking. We're really on the same wavelength. And admittedly, there's not as many movies here with the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Guys, we are already into the final two. We've got Freddy versus Jason coming back up. And for me, I'm going to put Freddy versus Jason in Every Town Has an Elm Street. I don't think this movie's bad. I don't think it's great. I think it's got certain elements that really work for me. Even though Kane Hodder is close to height as a Robert Englund, I think this movie would be better if Kane had played Jason. Nothing against Ken Kurtzinger. I don't really like the look of Jason here. And I know we're talking about it from a Nightmare on Elm Street perspective. It definitely gets a higher ranking in this franchise than it does in the Friday the 13th franchise. But it's just, yeah, again, it's a movie that I think is like dated. Those early 2000s movies, when they leaned into the style, it's pretty dated. I guess a lot of the movies in this franchise are kind of dated when you look back at them, but there's something about that early 2000s. The CGI isn't quite there. It's almost there. Yeah, to me, this is just middle of the road. Every Town Has an Elm Street. Basic bitch Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, Aaron, this one has been way easier than most, right? Toronto Freddy would put Freddy versus Jason and Screw Your Pass. Yeah. Oh, man. Yep. Jason too slow and robotic. Flat face, like the mask doesn't look right to me. Yeah, Jason just doesn't look like Jason in this movie. It's bizarre that they did that. And I think that was Ronnie Yu's decision to recast him, if I remember correctly. Screw Your Pass, says T. Parker. It feels so MTV. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and Ronnie Yu did Bride of Chucky. And that's a movie, like, as I've been going through the, Chucky franchise, I feel like Bride of Chucky, I don't enjoy it as much as I did when it came out, because it's right around in that same era. And it's a movie that I think is so like MTV looking. I don't know. I liked it so much more when it came out. Middle tier says Medley Man. New Nightmare is either top tier, second tier. Excellent. Aaron's leaning more towards Screw Your Pass. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're fine, Jamie. You're fine. You're fine. You can always catch up. No big deal. No big deal. The final fight alone moves it up from Screw Your Pass, says Medley Man. That's a good point. The final fight's fun. Nicholas says it's top tier. And Jamie says, highly entertaining and has some great kills. I love it. All right. You Are All My Children Now. So I think Every Town Has an Elm Street's a good mix of what we're seeing here from the chat. I don't think it's like bad. Like part 5 is like kind of boring to me. I wouldn't say Freddy versus Jason is boring. I would say like at least it's like, again, kind of like a comfort movie, like put it on in the background, do some chores, or like if you just want to like, have a lark, which is something people said in the 1600s. I'm bringing it back, folks. I'm bringing back Have a Lark. And T. Parker says, yes, Bride of Chucky is overrated. And again, at the time when it came out, it was refreshing. That's the interesting thing about time. When Bride of Chucky came out, it was like, oh, sweet. Like they're leaning into the funny stuff with Child's Play. They're taking it a little bit further than they did in parts 2 and 3. But yeah, when I go back and watch them, I'm like, yeah, I enjoy the first 3 on a totally different level that I look at like the back half of that franchise. And I've yet to see the TV show, so I know nothing about the TV show. You guys are great. Gene liked Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, I think liked is a good. Yeah, I think I like it. I think in the middle there, Every Town Has an Elm Street. It's like it's fine, right? Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. Medley Man says, I agree. It could be on the You're All My Children. Yeah. I'm going to leave it. I think Every Town Has an Elm Street. I think it fits right along there with Freddy's Revenge as far as like how much I enjoy it. And both of them having things that I like and things that I don't like. Because I do think Freddy is like pretty cool in Freddy versus Jason. Toronto Freddy never liked Bride of Chucky. All right. Yeah, Aaron, there you go. Jason's afraid of the water. That's a really important thing. That is a big misstep in the movie. And of course, there is the unfortunate use of the other F word, which apparently wasn't written in the script. It was just something that was, I don't know if it was ad-libbed or if Ronnie Yu told Kelly Rowland to say that. Doesn't age well. I don't even think back then, like back in 03, that wasn't cool. Like, you know, again, remember when I was talking about being a hippie or not? I had said that I'm sort of in the middle with a little bit on the right. And even 21-year-old Davey, back when this movie came out, I was like, oh, that's rough. That just sounds hateful. Like it doesn't sound funny or that it's being used in any realm of appropriateness. Yeah. It is silly. Yeah. And yeah, overrated is totally, I think like people, at least like if you had asked me before I rewatched it this time, Medley Man, I would have been like, oh, I had such a fun time with Bride of Chucky. And then after rewatching it, I'm like, yeah, it was fine. It was okay. But we're talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, Aaron, not a good look. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And again, somebody it's like, there's any of those like taboo words, there are creative ways. You have to be very creative and it has to be like really clever if you're going to use those words and not have them come across in a totally dreadful way. And I'm talking like the rarest of the rare. Like in the new Beverly Hills Cop, you know, Eddie Murphy drops a couple N-bombs. And his character did that in the 80s in the original, you know, too. I don't know if in part 3 he's dropping those words, but to me it was like, oh, it is sort of refreshing to have these characters come back. Not everything needs to be so sanitized and all that. So it's like, you know, placement and all about like, does it fit the piece? And I think, yeah, not a good look. And I feel like in this movie, it sticks out like a sore thumb. There it is. Nicholas McMath wants me to bring back words from the 1600s. So let's have a lark, have a great time, and let's finish out let's finish out this franchise ranking. This one's so easy for me. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake is You Forgot the Power Glove for me. I could see it maybe reaching Screw Your Past, depending on how you guys feel. This movie to me has a complete identity crisis. On the one hand, it is a remake of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And then on the other hand, it just wants to do its own thing. I felt like, you know, just go ahead and remake it and tell your own story or do a bona fide remake. And I feel like that is the biggest issue here. I know some people say that the performances aren't very good or that Rooney Mara just sort of phoned it in. I guess that it sounds like she didn't have the best experience making this movie. But I can't tell. Honestly, from her performance, I think her performance was good. I think Kyle Gallner is a good actor. I think the script here is a friggin' mess. I mean, even when there's like 15 or 20 minutes left in the movie, we're still learning like backstory and finding out more about Fred. It just, to me, it was sort of like, what are we doing? Like by this point in the film, we should already have this information. We shouldn't be like exposition dumping right before the final confrontation. Like that should happen closer to the middle of the film. Our characters should kind of know what they're up against and they should be planning to go fight Freddy. They shouldn't be finding like inappropriate pictures. And I think another thing too is, you know, Wes had considered making Freddy not only a child killer, but also a, you know, a molester in the original series. And they made the decision to just make him a killer because they figured that was bad enough. And I tend to agree. I think Freddy being a child killer is bad enough. I don't think we need to take it to the realm of all the other stuff. You know, in your head canon, you can just sort of like, if you want to assume that he was doing those things as well. But for them to actually acknowledge it here, I think it's just sort of, especially in the last like 20 minutes of the movie, I think it's this weird move to make that doesn't, for me, it doesn't increase the feelings that I have about Freddy. Freddy's already a bad guy. So to drop that in there is just sort of unnecessary. To me, it doesn't do much. And unfortunately, while I do think that Jackie Earle Haley is a fantastic actor, I think his performance here as Freddy is about as uninspired as it gets. The monotone dialogue delivery, the poor dialogue writing. I don't think Freddy's been like, I think maybe in Freddy's Dead, he's less scary than this one, but it's friggin' close, man. Like even Freddy in part 5, I'd rather have that Freddy than the Jackie Earle Haley, the version that they wrote for him. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. Great actor. Just everything didn't really fall into place here. Yeah, what can you do? Yeah, for me, that remake is the worst out of the big three remakes. With Rob Zombie's Halloween snuggled right up next to it. Nicholas says we've got 19 likes. Thank you so much for the like count, Nicholas. Really appreciate it. And we got Barry from a Wolfman's Got Nards. He jumps in. He says, I think the remake gets a lot of hate, maybe way more than it deserves. Yeah, I just maybe it's that I don't hate it. I could see myself moving it up to Screw Your Past. I like to work with you guys here. When we do these things live, it's collaborative. I mean, like I said last week, 75% of it's my opinion. I let you guys have 25%. Hope that's cool. To me, it's just unnecessary, right? This remake doesn't carve out its own spot enough. It should have either been a remake or should have been a total reimagining. Stop giving me remade scenes from the original and then trying to tell your own story. Like I need you to do your own thing, or I need you to be a remake. That's that. So that's why I put this one right up with or right down with Freddy's Dead. Medley Man says Davey would hate Game of Thrones. Yeah, I watched the first couple seasons, didn't think it was very good. Again, TV is just baits you to watch the next episode. Hardly anything happens in some of those episodes. You expect like boobs and someone to die. To me, Game of Thrones, it didn't do much for me. But I did watch the first few seasons. My brother was a 3D matte painter on season 3 or 4. He was one of the lead guys there. And everyone's saying, what's up to Barry? Great to see that. Wolfman. So Barry says, definitely not a good movie, but not awful. Yeah, I think, like I said, I could bump this one up to Screw Your Pass. I want to see what you guys think here. T. Parker says his remakes of the big three, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street. I put them the same exact way, T. Parker. I really enjoy the Friday the 13th remake from 2009. I'm not saying that it's a perfect film or anything like that, but there's so much to love there. I know that not everything works for everyone, and just like any other movie, there's probably some things that I would switch around if I, were living in a world where I got to do that to every movie I ever watched. But as it is, I really enjoy it. Marcus Nispel, I've said this so many times on the channel, to go from the Texas Chainsaw remake and then to jump in and do the Friday the 13th remake. Nispel shows his ability to, be a visceral, intense, brutal director. You can feel the brutality in the way that he places the camera, moves the camera, and the performances he gets from the actors. So I really respect the work that he does. And like, what has he made since then? It's sort of a shame that when I think of him, I only think of 2 remakes. I don't know if he has an original film that's really great. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, it's missing Hart. It's missing Jamie Hart. Wolfman says Friday remake is the best Friday movie by far. Barry, for me, it's like top 5 for sure. I would say, like, I love Jason Lives. I'm a Jason Lives stan. Jason Lives in the final chapter I really enjoy, but man, I do really, really love that remake. It's the most interesting Jason's ever been. Jason's like a spider. Crystal Lake is his web. You walk and you hit one of those tripwires and he pops out of a trap door like a trap door spider, like a friggin' tarantula. And I like that, even though he certainly does still have like some diminished intellect because of, his his affliction, his situation. But I do like that there's some like animal instinct there. And Jason's friggin' scary in this movie. When he flicks on the floodlights and starts like throwing like the canoes all over the place, like it's friggin' scary, man. Toronto Freddy says, I couldn't take a 5'4" Freddy seriously. Wasn't imposing whatsoever. Oh, I have not seen Little Children with Jackie Earle Haley, but I know that, yeah, he won an Oscar for that one. Yeah. So, I mean, let's just really quick, guys, before we move on into our, like, just, jumping fully into the chat, I just want to wrap up the tier maker ranking here for A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, in Welcome to Primetime Bitch, the top category, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, in the second category, You Are All My Children Now, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Now, in the middle road here, every town has an Elm Street, nothing too flashy, but it's not bad. We've got A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and Freddy versus Jason. And in Screw Your Pass, hanging out by itself, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and all the way down in the basement for You Forgot the Power Glove. We've got Freddy's Dead and A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010. And that wraps up the tier maker ranking for the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. All right, guys, so let's jump back into the chat here. T. Parker says, I wish Chris was the main protagonist instead of Nancy. That was another thing, too. Like, moving the names around was a really odd decision in that remake. Just bizarre. Bizarre to me. Keep it in the Power Glove. Thank you, Aaron. Did it. Yeah, Medley Man for sure. What I'll do is I'll probably reach out on like the Patreon chat or something like that and let you guys know. Nispel came from the same background as Zombie. Nispel just does it better. Oh, so he was doing music videos and stuff like that. Yeah, he does it way better than Rob Zombie. I think Rob Zombie, like, you know, his visual aspect of directing, you know, got better, and some of his movies look really beautiful. It's just the dialogue and the story. You know, I know I'm not saying anything new. Nicholas says, you break my heart with saying you didn't like Game of Thrones, but I got it. It's not for everyone. Yeah. TV is a really tough one for me, Nicholas. There's a lot of TV that I just don't have the patience for. Especially like that super like trendy, when something like blows up and is like ultra trendy, my inclination is to stay away from it. I don't know if that's because I grew up listening to punk rock or what it is, but I'm just sort of like, you know what? All the normies can just go ahead and have that. I'm going to watch something that's like a little bit that I feel is a little bit more for me, and not the most popular thing in the world. My Chunky Jordy, Gina says Friday the 13th remake is my favorite Jason film. You and Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards have that in common. That's pretty all right. Yeah. Oh, and Gene doesn't like the remake. You know, that's totally fine too. All opinions are welcome here. I really enjoy knowing why you guys feel the way you feel too. So if you want to let me know the reason behind, I think that's fascinating. You guys can let me know here in the chat, or you can hop in the comments section after the video is posted. That always, you know, helps this vid get some more traction, since the lives don't really, you know, move and shake too much after we end the stream. There you go, Toronto Freddy. I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Dream Master was the one with the elbows, right? Nasty. Yeah, with the metamorphosis where what's her face turns into a bug. Yeah, there's some really cool effects there in Dream Master. I watched Little Children specifically to see how he would perform as Freddy. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Jamie says my Freddy impression's on point. That's great, because I've been doing it enough, and I was either embarrassing myself or impressing people. It's fitting and telling that the Elm Street films with the most Wes Craven involvement are in Welcome to Primetime Bitch, says Aaron Click. It's curious, right? It's almost like Wes is a little something special, right? Absolutely, yeah. My buddy is in Port Hope working on Welcome to Derry. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'll need to that's a TV show they're making for the It universe, right? Is that what it is? There you go, Barry, throwing some love. And Barry, I saw that our Double Scoops live episode is circling right around about 850 views or so. So I included a link in the description below, so everyone who hasn't had a chance to check it out can go give it a watch, and hopefully leave a comment and a like as well if they haven't done that. I want to get that vid up to 1,000 views. I feel like we're pretty close. If we can get it some more traction here today, then maybe it'll pop up in some other people's feeds. So, you know, if you guys also, I mean, if you're not subbed over at Barry's channel, I really don't know how you found this little tiny channel. Go give Wolfman's Got Nards a sub if you haven't already. And yeah, this whole Halloween series has been really fun. He's also got the Morgue series talking about the Scream films and all that, which is really fun as well. And I'll be on one of those episodes here. I mean, really, we just have to schedule it. So, you know, not trying to make Barry bring me on the channel every month or so. So maybe there'll be a little gap, but I'd actually like to bring Barry on for something over here. So maybe we can work a little something out there. Medley Man says, I feel like you would really like The Boys or Breaking Bad. I should get into those. I've heard Breaking Bad is one of the best shows ever. Yeah. I'm right there with you, Jamie. It's like, I don't like, I think Trent is a dick, but the performance is so good. Like you feel the hate for the character. That means it's a good job. Like people like the idea that like you don't like a character and like using that as a negative. I'm like, yeah, you don't like the character because they wrote it so well and it was so well performed that you can't wait to see this guy die. Like you can't wait to see Jason kill this dude. Like that's good. That's a good sign. And again, I said it, probably last week when we did the tier ranking on the Friday the 13th franchise or whenever the heck that was a few weeks ago. People are like, "Oh, the characters are so bad in the '09 remake. They're just so annoying." I'm like, "Have you seen a Friday the 13th film? Like, are we confused about what this is?" Like the reviews when that movie came out, like it's a bunch of hot actors having sex, partying, and getting killed by Jason. I'm like, yeah, count me in. Like that's exactly what I want from this shit. So golly, it gives you it takes the first 4 Friday the 13th movies and squishes them into this modern retelling and finds a way to not have an identity crisis because it still, burns its own trail. I really enjoy it. I know Vincent DeSanti isn't the biggest fan of it, and I think he has good reasons. I think a big thing for him is like that it didn't push things forward, and I know that he really doesn't like the music there, and I think those are very fair criticisms. Again, I'm not saying the '09 like just because I really love the movie doesn't mean that like there aren't little things here and there, but man, I think it's so good. Yeah. T Parker's the same. Any popular TV shows I avoid or wait years. Yeah, I like to wait, especially so I can just like watch them like through. I'm not waiting week to week. But it's such a non-normie show, Davey. That's okay. We like, yeah. I Game of Thrones. Uh, I mean, it was like the biggest show in the world, right? When it was on. I know what you mean. I'm not saying normie in a way that like, oh, these people that all like the show are lame. It's just like when it's middle of the road and really popular. I've just always had like an aversion to that my whole entire life. It's something that's just like built into my brain. I don't know if it's the contrarian in me that's like peeking around the corner, but ever since I discovered punk rock as a 12-year-old kid in Juneau, Alaska, I just started looking at the world completely differently. Found out In a Violent Nature was filmed in Ontario. Yeah. Yeah. Canadian made film. Yeah. That's what I was saying. Barry, earlier, I was like, man, Rockland Graves, he's got like, a massive sub count. Slaughtered Lamb's got a really good sub count. Jason from Sinister Cinema, same thing. And then, I'm still working on that first 1,000. So when I saw the view count on there, I was like, well, this is really cool. I mean, if it says anything, Barry, it says that the people that enjoy your channel are willing to give everything you do a shot, and that you're not. It doesn't hinge on who the guest is, right? It's like it's the topic, it's the discussion. Yeah, it's really awesome seeing it do so well for you, and I'll keep pushing it, man. I want to get it to that 1,000 mark. What's happening, David Rish? I think this is the first time I've seen you in one of our lives. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a great time. We just here, I can pop it on really quick just in case you're in the chat there, David. We just finished a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise tier maker ranking. This is something I do with the chat. So on my channel, I have my own franchise rankings where they're, it's just a numbered ranking. And then here I get to jump in with everyone else and see what they think and see if they can sway my opinion. So yeah, you can always scrub back if you want to check that out. T. Parker says that's how I feel about the Scream films where Wes or Kevin were involved with the production. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. We've covered that ground for sure. I think that's night and day, the difference between the first 4 Scream movies and Scream 5 and 6. I think it is like, it's like a cheap imitation. People are worried about AI being used in filmmaking, but when I watch the Radio Silent Scream movies, I'm like, these might as well have been written with AI because it seems like, where is the soul? I don't know where the soul is in Scream 5 and 6. Not to say that there are good performances in there. I just mean like the writing and stuff. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, Toronto Freddy. There we go. Jamie says Breaking Bad's top 5. Yeah, I've heard great things. And about Better Call Saul. I've heard some people say Better Call Saul is even better than Breaking Bad. Yeah. He was also good as Trent in Transformers. I love that there's like that almost connected universe because I don't know if they ever give a last name, but yeah, same character playing the same kind of asshole guy. And I've heard like I follow is it Rachel Lee Cook? I think it was that posted about him because I think they did some sort of like Hallmark movie kind of thing together. But the guy that plays Trent is like a big time philanthropist. Like he puts his time and money into, helping out folks. I can't remember exactly what the cause was that he's, heavily involved with, but it was also just kind of cool to be like, hey, this guy's really great at playing a dick. And then as a human being, he's a really awesome human. So that's great. Yeah. Those tits are stupendous. Nipple placement is perfect, or whatever he says. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. And I love in that movie too, like Jason uses a different implement of destruction and he goes back. They take it back to all the camp stuff. So like throwing the axe, using the bow and arrow, like all that kind of fun stuff. There's that really cool shot of Jason like stabbing the police officer through the door. And it's like the way they shot it, the camera moves like right through the door. It's a really creative shot that you wouldn't even think, like when you see it, you're just like, whoa, how'd they do that? Well, I guess they've removed the wall there and then just move the camera through. But yeah, really creative stuff going on there. And of course, the shot of Jason on the house, like looking down with the floodlights behind him, with that cool, like I like his look, that like Victorian jacket. There's just Derek Mears as Jason Voorhees. It's a damn shame we didn't get more. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I think they did a fantastic job too. Stupendous job. Their nipple placement was perfect. Yeah, I don't get the hate either. I don't get it. I understand not liking it. I understand. If you hate it, I think like, oh, you just must not like these movies very much. If you hate it, I mean, there's got to be something for everyone in there. Nostalgic charm of the 80s characters. Yeah. I get you. I totally get you, Aaron. So maybe it's just a matter of time and people will look at Friday the 13th, 09 in a totally different way. That's coming up. That's having its 15th anniversary here this year as well, right? Let's with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Let's see here. What day did the remake come out? I'm curious to know. So let's pull that up here. I know this is the most gripping part of my live streams is when I'm furrow-browed looking at IMDb. February 13th. Okay, so we passed that one. February 13th, 2009. I remember seeing this in the theater, the remake. Yeah, good shit. Barry says, speaking of TV shows, I've started to revisit the Exorcist TV show. Love it. I never saw that show. That was like a time in my life, I think, where I just really wasn't watching, very much television at all. Where can I watch? Which streaming service are you watching that on, Barry? I'd love to check that out because I love the original Exorcist and I do like Exorcist 3. Religious demonic possession movies. It's like so specific. Religious demonic possession movies are not necessarily my thing, with a couple exceptions. But clearly, I do like demonic possession movies. I guess I like the more fantastical version. But yeah, I'd love to check out that Exorcist show for sure. Oh, and Eli, yeah, Tales from the Crypt is one of my Tales from the Crypt is absolutely amazing. I saw Christian from Planet CHH had posted that he got his Crypt Keeper bust from the Spirit Halloween or Trick or Treat Studios or whatever, got mailed to him. And I made a comment on there where it's like that show was like the Twilight Zone of its time. Those tales of morality and all that kind of stuff, people getting their comeuppance, all that kind of fun stuff, with some twists and turns, really great performers coming in there, great directors. I think Robert Zemeckis directed the very first episode of Tales from the Crypt. Of course, Christopher Reeve is in there as a guest on a really great episode that I'm not going to go into because you should just watch it yourself. It's really awesome. Yeah, a whole bunch of really good episodes there with Tales from the Crypt. The Wire, True Detective, Game of Thrones, One Piece, and Breaking Bad are Medley Man's top 5s. There it is. Boom. Tremors TV show. I should check that out. Never watched that one. 20 likes, says Nicholas. Appreciate the like count. Awesome. Yes, says Gene. Let's get you to 1,000 subs. That would be a dream come true. We got some work to do. My goal is to be at 1,000 by the end of August. I don't think it's going to happen, but Prove me wrong. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. We'll see. I'd rather set a goal that's more difficult to attain and fail to reach it than reach a lower goal and have less to celebrate. Jamie Hart's top 5 shows: American Horror Story, Shameless, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and Twin Peaks. It's a good collection there. I need to watch Twin Peaks. Yeah, there you go, Aaron. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's Scream. It's like paint by numbers version of Scream. I think Midnight Mass counts as a show, right? It was like a limited mini series or something like that. Was that Mike Flanagan? What kind of do you are you in show business, Toronto Freddy? Like, is that what you do for work? You work on productions? I did not know that. Yeah, I've not seen Shameless. Gotta get on that Shameless train. Best shows all have little background things that tell their own stories. The Wire, True Detective, and One Piece have background characters and things that come back later. Yeah. Yeah, the multiple layers is really good for sure. First season of True Detective was so good. Yeah. Gene saying, "What's up to Barry?" T. Parker says, and people give the DGG Halloween trilogy a lot of flack, but at least those films have their own identity and actual risks. Yeah, I agree. I think that I think time will be very kind to the DGG Halloween trilogy. I think right now, we were talking about hyperbole earlier. There's the hyperbole of like, oh my God, Longlegs is the scariest thing ever, and it ruins stuff for people. And then there's the reverse with oh, Halloween Ends is the worst thing I've ever seen. And it's like, is it the worst thing you've ever seen? Like, have you seen Halloween Resurrection? Like, are you serious? Like, you might not like where the story goes, but was the film incompetently made? I don't think you can make the argument there. I think, if anything, you can say, I don't like where they took the story, but the David Gordon Green Halloween films were, successful in reaching the fans, and they're very well made films. While Breaking Bad has the color thing where colors are used to portray the emotions of people, and Game of Thrones has the houses that give hints as to how the houses end up at the end. Yeah. Oh, Game of Thrones. You just could never keep my attention, could you? Not enough boobs for me, I guess. Oh, well, there you go. Barry's watching it on Blu-ray. Well, just ship them on over to me when you're done, Barry. It'll only cost a whole bunch of money, and who knows if you'll ever see him again. But I think that risk is worth taking here. Yes, let's do it. Let's get me to 1,000 subs. Share the channel. Share your favorite vid on the channel. Whatever you got. Everyone's talking up Shameless. There it is. And we got MAGA Cat back in the chat. What's happening? I know I'm still going, MAGA Cat. Still going. Found you on Knight's channel. Been watching Barry for about 2 years. Knight's channel. Who am I thinking of? Who's Knight's channel? I'm interested to know. How you found me. Shameless is the kind of show that you watch with your mouth open in shock the whole time. That's hilarious. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here within the next few minutes because I've got that stream coming up with Kyle over at Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13. That's coming up in just about an hour and a half. So I'm going to wrap things up here. Toronto Freddy, I've never seen Freddy's Nightmares. I don't know where I can see that. Can I see that on YouTube? Let me know. 22 likes as of now. That's great. Trisha McMasters, one of our lovely Patreon members, says, I actually really love the DGG trilogy. I hated the Rob Zombie movies, but David Gordon Green didn't offend me and kept me captivated. I have ADD, laugh out loud. That's great. Yeah, I really enjoy those movies quite a bit. There you go. Oh, cool. So Toronto Freddy, you do some location scouting and everything. That's awesome, man. That's so cool. I have my brother does 3D matte painting in film. There it is, the DGG 4K Halloween Steelbook box set. That was a really beautiful box set. In my heart of hearts, I wanted it. I just didn't have the scratch to pick it up. But yeah, guys, let's see here. Just want to make sure I'm not missing here. MAGA Cat can't be stopped. There it is. Oh, Gina's talking about the Night Zone or the Night Watch Zone. Great channel. Um, I've never heard Night Watch Zone. I've never heard of that. Somebody you found me through that, or were you talking to Barry? Maybe you were talking to Barry. Let's see here. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah, guys, we're gonna hop on out of here. Yeah, I think that maybe, through time, maybe those feelings will sort of even out. Who knows, Toronto Freddy? I don't know if you're a rewatcher. I'm a big rewatcher. All right. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out. Eli, shoot me an email, man. I am interested in however we can make that work with that steelbook would be really great. Again, I will give you a shout out and do a vid about it and everything like that. You'll get some love. So shoot me an email and we'll get it cooking. Yeah, I was worried that he was going to wear it for the rest of the movie. I got really scared there for a second. Okay, I'll have to check it out, Jamie. I will check it out once we're done here. Uh, Hell yeah, MAGA's throwing the love towards him as well. That's great. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Eli. Really appreciate it. Yeah, guys, I am going to hop off here so I can grab a little bite and rest my voice for a bit before hopping on the stream with Kyle. Really appreciate you guys hanging out here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the channel, all that great stuff. The stream with Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13 is going to be over on his channel. There's a link in the description below. It's also going to simultaneously stream over here at the Davey Death Ray channel, so you guys can tune in. We're going to be talking about our top 10 scariest moments in horror film history. I'm really pumped for that one. And what else do we have going on here? Just check the description for all the links below for the Start Bench Cut. You can check out the episode of Double Scoops that I did with Barry over on Wolfman's Got Nards, all that good stuff. And yeah, guys, I'm going to be dropping my Rad 9 movies of 1994. That should be dropping tomorrow morning. I'll make sure to share it on socials and make a community post here on YouTube so you guys don't miss it. Love you guys so much. Really appreciate all the support. You guys fuel the channel. You keep me going. And I'm so thankful for every minute you spend with me. Let's keep on marching towards 1,000 subs, and we'll have plenty of great new content coming your way to finish out the summer. Until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Death Ray. Take care.